Part 200. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei-Shi Niang. Chapter 1992. Lu Yun entrusted the same third-party evaluation company to evaluate Renjia travel and Liu customization according to the same evaluation standards. In order to make this merger simpler, Lu Yun suggested that this time Liu customization should take out the net assets, that is, the fixed assets in Beijing, Shanghai, and Hangzhou, and the other parts, whether receivables or payables the company's existing book funds are all transferred to the parent company BusinessManagement Group, and subsequent matters will be handled by BusinessManagement Group. The result of this part of the asset appraisal is that the total amount is 2.145653726 yuan, and Renjia Tourism has obtained the land appraisal and book cash, totaling 5.6 billion yuan. 74,868,950 yuan. According to the evaluation results, the new Renjia Tourism changed its equity from Lu Ligan's sole proprietorship to a limited liability company composed of two shareholders, Lu Ligan and BusinessManagement Group. Lu Ligan's share the company holds 72.6% of the shares, and BusinessManagement Group holds 27.4% of the shares. The revised company's articles of association determine that resolutions of the company's shareholders meeting must be approved by shareholders accounting for 75% of the voting rights before they can be passed. In this way, Lu Ligan is still the absolute majority shareholder, but he cannot do whatever he wants on half an acre of land. Even if the group does not reduce its shareholding, the approval of the BusinessManagement Group will still be required for major decisions to be made at the shareholders' meeting. This ensures Lu Ligan's rights and the rights and interests of BusinessManagement Group. In the new Renjia Tourism, Lu Ligan is the chairman, Xiaomi is the general manager, and Lu Yun is the company supervisor. The original office building of Liu Customization in Shanghai Jinmao Tower was originally leased, but it will no longer be leased after the merger. The company is headquartered in the BusinessManagement Group building in Hangzhou. Xiaomi came to Hangzhou from Shanghai. Liu Customization was originally a club in Sanya. The company had gone through the leasing procedures internally for the two villas, and they were leased from the Sanya World Tropical Botanical Garden. The property rights of these two villas belong to the Sanya World Tropical Botanical Garden, and there is no way to separate them. Not included in this merger, the two villas are still leased from the Sanya World Tropical Botanical Garden by New Renjia Tourism. These two villas will also be converted into B/U0026BS. In this way, the layout of Renjia Tourism will also reach Sanya. During the process of evaluation and industrial and commercial change procedures between the two companies, everyone did not stop, but accelerated the pace. Xiaomi withdrew all the original VIP customers of Liu Customization. According to Lu Yun, the funds that were withdrawn were the arrangements were made by BusinessManagement Group from the funds allocated to the parent company from Liu Customization. At the same time, the renovation of the original Liu customized clubs in Shanghai, Beijing, and Hangzhou will begin immediately. The Urban Renjia series of Renjia Travel will become the first batch of B/U0026BS launched by them, striving to open up during the Spring Festival. Front renovation completed. Already, some VIP customers from their Liu Customization have ordered all their houses. These clients who live on the top floors of city buildings or in suburban villas think that during the Spring Festival, they can rent out the entire old bungalows, courtyard houses, and old houses in the city, and take the whole family there to celebrate the Spring Festival and eat French food. After the New Year's Eve dinner, it was a very different experience to go out and walk around the empty streets of the old city. While Xiaomi and the others were busy, Lu Ligan was not idle either. He had to go through the construction application procedures for each project. These projects are scattered in various counties below. Each project has to go to the local construction bureau, planning bureau, soil management bureau and fire brigade for processing. Lu Ligan is really too busy by himself. Fortunately, now Liu Customization was merged in, and the number of people Lu Ligan could use suddenly increased. Xiaowan, the original general manager of the Liu customization company in Hangzhou, is now Lu Ligan's assistant. They separate the staff and go to each county separately. When encountering difficulties, Lu Ligan communicates by phone. In this way, the progress has been greatly accelerated. These projects will start after the Spring Festival, and there is no problem at all in terms of time. Splendid China continued to shrink in size. The Hefei company was merged into the Hangzhou company. After Ying Ying became the vice president of the group, Zhang Mushan was transferred back to Hangzhou by Tan Shuhen and served as the general manager of the Splendid China Hangzhou branch. Lu Ligan discussed with Tan Shuhen and went to work on Zhang Mushan. With so many projects starting at the same time, he definitely needed someone who was knowledgeable and trustworthy. Lu Ligan originally wanted Lao Wan, but he felt that if Lao Wan was removed from the Splendid China Shanghai branch, there would be no suitable person to serve as the general manager of the Shanghai branch. The Shanghai branch would have a negative impact on the current Splendid China. It's so important. As for Zhang Mushan, his position actually overlaps with that of Ying Ying. Without him, Ying Ying can take over the management of the Hangzhou branch again. This is the scope of her management. Lu Ligan told Tan Shuhen his thoughts. Tan Shuhen said, "You can do Zhang Mushan's work yourself. If he is willing, I have no objection." Lu Ligan found Zhang Mushan and told Zhang Mushan about the matter. Zhang Mushan sighed and said, "I am already so old. I originally wanted to go back to Hangzhou for 2 years and then go home to have my grandson." "Go away, your grandson can hug you now," Lu Ligan said. Zhang Mushan smiled and said, "Then I can have a great-grandson." "Then you consider yourself a grandson," Lu Ligan said. "Don't think that I don't know you. Are you, Zhang Mushan, a person who can live in leisure? You don't know how to dance Yanko, dance in the old disco, or dance in the square Wu. You think those aunties are too old. What you like is to go to KTV and hold your little sister while drinking. Stop pretending and come over and help me." Okay, it was you, Lu Ligan, who dragged me onto this pirate ship in the first place. Now that you are starting a business again and I don't help you, shouldn't you feel a little guilty? It's not that I feel a little sorry, it's that if you hadn't helped me get things done, you would have died without closing your eyes, Lu Ligan said. "Okay, done." Zhang Mushan slapped the table, and the matter was settled. With everyone in place, Lu Ligan felt that his troops were strong and his horse was strong. It was time to pick up his gun, mount his horse, and go galloping. Zhang Xiangbei flew from Guangzhou to Beijing, and from Beijing to Guangzhou again. This was the day when their home fresh delivery Guangdong branch community delivery was launched. 3 days ago, community distribution in Beijing and Tianjin was launched. This time, Wu Huan did not fly from Beijing to Guangzhou with Zhang Xiangbei, but went directly back to Hangzhou. They then took delivery in Ningbo and Suzhou and Wuxi. Delivery to work and households is ready and we strive to go online before the Spring Festival. After the community delivery in Guangzhou was officially launched, Zhang Xiangbei breathed a sigh of relief and felt that the overall situation was settled. The fresh home delivery model has been tested by the market and is very popular with everyone. Next, they will expand their market share. The problem is to copy the models of Beijing Tianjin, Yangtze River Delta and Pearl River Delta to the whole country. What makes Zhang Xiangbei feel relieved the most is that the production capacity of Shentu Hanjian's fresh keeping cabinets has been greatly increased, and the supply has kept up, which can meet their expansion needs. In addition, Zhang Xiangbei predicts that in just 1 or 2 months, these cities that have started distribution will train a large number of talents for them. Wu Huan's reserve talent training pool will definitely be greatly enriched. By then, in the deployment of personnel will not be as stretched as it is now. By that time, not only the headquarters personnel such as Zhou Ruyi, Sun Xiangyang, and Xiao Wu no longer need to fly around like the wind, Zhang Xiangbei and Wu Huan can also focus on the development of the company, the construction of vegetable bases and other matters. People can finally start to arrange things, instead of like now, they are actually being driven away by things. This is also the first step that all new companies must take. It is at this time that many companies become disloyal or alienated. Having laid the root of the disaster, Zhang Xiaongbei felt that they had basically made it through and were still qualified. Passivity can become active. This feeling makes Zhang Xiaongbei very happy. Zhang Xiaongbei stayed in Guangzhou until December 30th. In one day, 2015 will pass and 2016 will come. To use a cliché, it is the day to bid farewell to the old and welcome the new. Here, Zhang Xiaongbei needs both summary and outlook. Zhou Ruyi and Sun Xiangyang also ended their mission in Guangzhou and returned to Hangzhou with Zhang Xiaongbei. They had helped Lin Kunfan onto his horse and sent him on a journey. Next, the entire Guangdong branch would be handed over to him, including Zhuhai. Business to be expanded. The three people flew to Hangzhou airport and walked to the exit. They unexpectedly found Xiongnan, Ding Yusong, Yin Tao, and Zhang Xiongzi waiting for them at the exit. Zhang Xiongzi saw them and went north, north, north from afar. Call. Zhang Xiaongbei asked Xiongnan, "Why are you here?" Before Xiangnan could speak, Ding Yusong said from the side. "Kidnapping, take you to Yongcheng. Tomorrow is New Year's Eve. We have to perform and connect with the TV station live. If you can't come to Hangzhou, we can only take you to Yongcheng and celebrate New Year's Eve with us." Zhang Xiongzi opened his eyes wide, looked at Ding Yusong in horror, and shouted loudly, "You can't tie Bai Bei up." Ding Yusong stretched his arms and said to Zhang Xiongzi, "If I don't tie him up, how about I let you, Sister Xiongnan, tie up Bai Bei with your hands? Do you think it's more fun for us in the troop or in Bai Bei's office? If I don't tie him up, Bai Bei will go back to the office." Zhang Xiongzi giggled and said, "Of course your troop is fun, but let me tell you, there is no need for Nan Nan to tie her up." "Then who will tie him up?" Yin Tao asked. Zhang Xiongzi looked at Zhang Xiaongbei, with her hands behind her back. She nodded to Zhang Xiaongbei and asked, "Bai Bei, have you forgotten something?" Zhang Xiaongbei understood immediately. He turned around and squatted down. Zhang Xiongzi climbed on Zhang Xiaongbei's shoulders. Zhang Xiaongbei stood up. Zhang Xiongzi lightly kicked Zhang Xiaongbei's chest with his heel and said to Ding Yusong and the others, "Look, look, I can tie Bai Bei to the troop with just 2 feet." Everyone laughed, and Zhou Ruyi shouted, "Okay, your family is reunited, so take us home first." "It's a good idea, let's go together," Xiangnan said. "I have asked Wu Huan for leave on your behalf. Wu Huan said that you have worked hard outside during this period. You should rest for 2 days when you return to Hangzhou. We have even prepared the tiger bench and the electric chair." Ding Yusong said, "You two, you must honestly confess your relationship." Sun Xiangyang chuckled, and Zhou Ruyi blushed. She glanced at Sun Xiangyang and cursed, "What a laugh. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you Feng Polang 26, Bill 0906, Humor Tribe, Captain Jim, Lulu 6717 P11, Light Dust Dash, Watch, Bulletins Thread, and Book Friends 20210119215816277 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1993. Xiaofang was sitting in the office. Someone knocked on the door. Xiaofang said, "Come in." The door opened. Xiaofang frowned slightly, but still stood up and walked towards the person with a smile. Xiaofang said, "I was just wondering when you would come, but you guys came before JD.com, which is beyond my expectation." Zheng Huiyang smiled and said, "What, you're not welcome?" Xiaofang also smiled, "Welcome or not, you will all come anyway." What Xiaofang said was true. She knew that Zheng Huiyang would come to her door sooner or later. There was no reason why they would not come to her door if the fresh food delivery was making such a big fuss now. For these domestic internet giants, they have already, once you get used to it, they will either acquire you or destroy you. In short, you can't even think of getting out of their sight alive. Xiaofang asked Zheng Huiyang to sit down, and she said, "Are you really giving no way for others to survive now?" "What you said makes me unable to sit still," Zheng Huiyang said. "But this is a fact," Xiaofang said, "you will indeed be unable to sit still, and you are probably not the only one who cannot sit still." Zheng Huiyang looked at Xiaofang and asked, "Do you want to wait for the price?" "It doesn't exist." Xiaofang shook her head and said, "I hope you never show up this time. I hope you, Zheng Huiyang, come to my place just to have tea together." What Xiaofang said was true again. From the day Xiangxian was launched, Xiaofang knew that several internet platforms would definitely be unable to sleep. Among them, the one that could not sleep the most should not be Doubao.com, but JD.com. Fresh food delivery is still a very small area for Doubao.com, but for JD.com, it is already one of their main businesses. Their layout was earlier than that of Doubao.com, and their investment is larger than that of Doubao.com. The launch of fresh delivery in Beijing can be said to have directly opened the door and snatched away the fat in their bowls. For these now wealthy companies, they have passed the stage of direct fighting. After all, they are public companies, and their image is still important. They cannot fight directly like courier companies, like a gang fight. For them, the most direct way is to buy it. No matter how much it costs, after buying it, packaging it, and then selling it in the capital market, they can earn back the money. The final result is equivalent to acquiring a company. After eliminating a competitor, not only did you not pay a penny, but you also made a fortune from it. Zheng Huiyang smiled and said, "Well, it seems that you have been waiting for this day for a long time. I really didn't wait this time. Although I knew you would definitely come to the door, I didn't want to sell. Of course, it's not up to me to sell or not. I'm just one of the shareholders," Xiaofang said. "Mr. Zhang has 20%, you have 20%, Bei has 16%, and your family adds up to 56%. If you want to sell, no one else can stop it?" I said, "Is that correct?" Zheng Huiyang asked. "Since you know so clearly, you should go to Mr. Zhang instead of me. You should also know that if Mr. Zhang agrees to sell, I will definitely have no objection." Xiaofang added, "Don't talk about selling, if he wants to give it to you, I will agree." Zheng Huiyang looked a little unnatural. She sighed and said to Xiaofang, "I don't dare. To be honest, I don't dare to talk to Mr. Zhang about this kind of thing." "Oh," Xiaofang was surprised. She looked at Zheng Huiyang and smiled, "You don't dare with Mr. Zhang, but you dare with me? Zheng Huiyang, you are treating me like a soft persimmon, right?" "No, it's Mr. Zhang. He doesn't seem to be interested in these things, such as how much money he has. Sometimes it all depends on his mood. If the negotiation breaks down, it's over. He won't leave any room for it." Maybe. Zheng Huiyang's face turned red, and Xiaofang watched, waiting for her to continue. Zheng Huiyang continued, "Maybe he will kick me out in a fit of anger. If I try to find him again, he won't even see me." Xiaofang giggled. She felt that Zheng Huiyang still understood Zhang Chen. If Zhang Chen really got his act together, he would really do this. Zheng Huiyang glanced at Xiaofang and smiled. She said, "No matter what I say, Yu Xiaofeng is a professional. No matter what the matter is, it can be discussed whether it can be negotiated or not. If the negotiation is successful, it will be the icing on the cake. If the negotiation is not successful, it will not hurt the friendship. You know that everyone is here for work, right?" Xiaofang nodded. Zheng Huiyang said, "By the way, Xiaofang, why do you think I will definitely come?" "It's very simple. What Baibei is doing now is exactly what you lack. Your Hippo Fresh food can be said to be a complete failure. It is also very fragile and vulnerable. If I guessed correctly, Zaixian Fresh food after Xiao went online, your customers at Hippo Fresh were lost very quickly and may be wiped out soon. What you have, Zaixian Shui can provide it, and it can surpass you in all aspects. Zaixian Shui can be said to be a crushing type for you, Hippo Fresh food. Fortunately, Hippo Fresh food is only a small part of you, it won't hurt your muscles and bones, am I right? Zheng Huiyang nodded and said, I admit, there is a lot of pressure on us. And there is no possibility of counterattack, so you came. Xiaofang said, tell me, how much are you prepared to bid this time? 78 billion, Zheng Huiyang said. Mr. Ma, have you ever made a mistake? Xiaofang said with a smile. In his eyes, the value of Zaixian Shui is only worth 7.8 billion? Does he think of Zaixian Shui as a colorful network, or is it are you, Zheng Huiyang, hiding you again? Okay, 9.6 billion, is that okay? Zheng Huiyang asked. No, Xiaofang said, do you know why we are still on the angel round now and haven't even started the round? Zheng Huiyang shook her head and said honestly, to be honest, we also feel strange. We have been paying attention to this matter. If you launch the round, we will join. Xiaofang said, there is no such plan in the short term. The reason why we have not launched new financing is very simple. Several of us have already discussed it. We just don't want too many people to join in. We don't want this company to be completely capitalized and reported. If there is still a shortage of money, we can add more ourselves. We are very optimistic about this project. At the same time, what I can also tell you is that the profitability of Zaixian Shui is very strong. It is estimated that it will become a cash cow before long. Is there no possibility of continuing the discussion? Zheng Huiyang asked. No, don't threaten me by cutting off the payment guarantee channel of Zaixian delivery. That will only be your loss, and you will hand over such a large market to WeChat Pay. Xiaofang spoke first, blocking what Zheng Huiyang wanted to say later. Zheng Huiyang flattened her mouth and made a face at Xiaofang. Xiaofang said, Zheng Huiyang, I can tell you the truth. You can also tell Teacher Ma that Zaixian delivery is not suitable for you. Be careful if you eat it, you will suffer from indigestion. Why? Zheng Huiyang asked, still unwilling to give up. It doesn't match, Xiaofang said. What doesn't match? Home delivery does not match your company's style. Think about why the express delivery companies you cooperate with, Taiwan's richest man, Guo, all fail. Your company is used to making quick money and leveraged money. No one can afford it. It's hard to do express delivery. Among your senior executives, is there anyone like Wu Zaiyi and Wei Venfang? There is not one. The same goes for Zaixianqi. What they earn is hard-earned money, not quick money. It's really not compatible with your company. Xiaofang looked at Zheng Huiyang and said, I don't mean to belittle you. I really want to say that JD.com and it are more compatible. Really, if two companies that don't match each other want to be together, it will be a coward. Have JD.com come to see you? Zheng Huiyang asked. Xiaofang shook her head, no, there's no point in looking for it. Zaixian Shui is not an ordinary company. What is that? Zheng Huiyang asked reluctantly. Xiaofang was silent for a while, and then she said to Zheng Huiyang. Originally, I shouldn't have told you this, Zheng Huiyang. Fresh delivery at home is Baibei's dream. As long as he doesn't have this intention, his father and I will not ask him to sell the company, no matter what, how much. After hearing what Xiaofang said, Zheng Huiyang fell silent. She sat there, holding the fingers of her left hand with her right hand. Both of them were silent. After a while, Zheng Huiyang raised her head, looked at Xiaofang and said, Xiaofang, let me tell you the truth, okay? Xiaofang nodded. Zheng Huiyang said, Mr. Zhang has been very helpful to me and Lao Wan. We were all taken in by Mr. Zhang when we were almost desperate. We are very grateful to him. He has always taken good care of us. It can be said that without Mr. Zhang, we would not be able to survive without us now. Of course, your sister, including Mr. Lu, and Mr. Tan, all take good care of us. We are really grateful, Xiao Fang. Xiao Fang stretched out her hand and held Zheng Huiyang's hand. Xiao Fang said, I know. Zheng Huiyang continued, but, after all, I am still a member of the company, so I can't influence any decisions made in the company. Really, I can only execute them, and you know. Xiao Fang said, I understand, Zheng Huiyang, don't be stressed. As you said before, work is work. If the negotiation cannot be successful, it should not hurt the relationship. Moreover, Wu Huan told me that she said your company's culture that is, as long as Teacher Ma decides something, it must be implemented if there are conditions, and it must be implemented even if there are no conditions, right? Zheng Huiyang nodded. She looked at Xiao Fang, hesitated to speak, and finally sighed softly. Zheng Huiyang stood up and said goodbye. Xiao Fang sent her to the elevator. When she came back and sat down, she felt a little depressed. Although she had known that this day would come, when it really came, Xiao Fang still felt a little uneasy. Especially Zheng Huiyang's last words, especially her hesitation in speaking, Xiao Fang felt that this was an ultimatum. Zaixianshu has been remembered by people. If it does not want to be acquired, it is likely to be greeted by a storm. Xiao Fang let out a long sigh. She picked up her mobile phone and dialed Zhang Xiangbei. When the call was picked up, Xiao Fang asked, Bai Bei, where are you? I just came back from Guangzhou and am now on my way to Yongchang. Zhang Xiangbei said. Xiangnan and the others came to pick us up at the airport and asked us to celebrate the New Year with them tomorrow night. Xiao Fang laughed and said, okay, that will be fun. Mom, I'm telling you, I'm going to die laughing. Zhang Xiangzi shouted next to Zhang Xiangbei. What's wrong, Zixi? Xiao Fang said. Let me tell you, I tied up Bai Bei with just 2 feet. Zhang Xiangzi said. Xiao Fang didn't understand what Zhang Xiangzi was saying, but Zhang Xiangzi was smiling on the phone, and Xiao Fang laughed too. Thank you Zongkai 727 and Tianwei Y for your monthly tickets. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1994. Zheng Huiyang arrived at the underground parking lot of the Sky City E-Commerce Industrial Park, walked to her car, opened the door and got in. She didn't start the car immediately. She sat there and thought about it, then got out of the car and headed back towards the car. Walked to the elevator. When she got upstairs, Zheng Huiyang did not go to Xiaofang's youth capital Hangzhou branch, but to Fanhua Network. The receptionist clicked on Lu Yun's open door. Lu Yun raised her head and said to Lu Yun, Mr. Lu, someone is looking for you. Lu Yun frowned and thought to herself, it's not the first day of work for this receptionist. Why is he so rash, bringing people in without making an appointment or notifying him? Seeing Lu Yun's expression at the front desk, he knew something was wrong and quickly explained. Mr. Lu, she said she is your friend. Lu Yun nodded slightly, stepped aside at the front desk, and made a gesture of invitation. A thin woman appeared at the door. Lu Yun did not recognize her, but from her dress and behavior, she could tell that this person had a certain kind of personality. She doesn't look like a senior manager in a big company, so it's no wonder the front desk brought her in. The visitor nodded towards the front desk, said thank you, then walked towards Lu Yun and said softly. I'm sorry, Mr. Lu, I was presumptuous. I am Zheng Huiyang. Lu Yun suddenly realized. Lu Yun has never met Zheng Huiyang, but she has heard of her, not only from the chats between Xiaofang and Zhang Chen, but also from the internet. Zheng Huiyang, as a high school student who has never even attended college, counterattacked and became one of the founding teams of Debo.com. 1. Job number 11, M8, whose rank in Dabao is terrifying to outsiders. There are many reports about her on the internet. Lu Yun also knew that she was Lao Wan's wife. Lu Yun was not familiar with Zheng Huiyang, but she was very familiar with Lao Wan. They had eaten together many times. When Zhang Chen and the others got together in Shanghai, Lao Wan was always there. Lu Yun smiled and greeted her, saying that she had admired him for a long time. Zheng Huiyang held Lu Yun's hand and complimented, "Mr. Lu is really radiant." Lu Yun pursed her lips, smiled, and said thank you. Lu Yun invited Zheng Huiyang to sit on the sofa. The front desk asked Zheng Huiyang quietly, "Mr. Zheng, do you want coffee or tea?" Zheng Huiyang said, "Thank you, water will do." The front desk brought a glass of Evian mineral water for Zheng Huiyang, and brought Lu Yun's cup over, then went out and closed the door. The two chatted for a while, and Lu Yun looked at Zheng Huiyang with questioning eyes. Zheng Huiyang said, "Mr. Lu, I'm here today to talk to you about the shares of Zaixiansang. Tell me about the shares of Zaixian Shui." Lu Yun was a little strange and thought to herself, shouldn't Zheng Huiyang go to Xiaofang or Zhang Chen to talk about the shares of Zaixian Shui? They are also more familiar with it. Zheng Huiyang nodded. She picked up the cup and took a sip of water. After putting it down, she said to Lu Yun, "I just came out of Xiaofang's place and talked with her about the stock cooperation of Zaixian Shui. However, I got a rejection." Zheng Huiyang knew that as long as she left here, Lu Yun would most likely pick up the phone on the table and call Xiaofang, or go directly to Xiaofang's place. There was no use being secretive, so it was better to speak openly. Lu Yun nodded and understood. "Mr. Lu, I know that you own 20% of the shares in Zaixian Shui." Before Zheng Huiyang finished speaking, Lu Yun waved her hand and asked, "Why didn't Xiaofang agree?" Zheng Huiyang told Lu Yun exactly what Xiaofang told her, what didn't match her, and what Zaixian Delivery was not an ordinary company. She didn't hide it at all, and it was useless to hide it. Zheng Huiyang said, "But Mr. Lu, I respect Xiaofang's choice. I also told her that we do not have to completely acquire Zaixian Shui. Various possibilities for cooperation exist. We are very optimistic about this project. If you launch in a round, we will participate, but Xiaofang told me that you have no such plan at the moment." Lu Yun said yes, she hasn't mentioned it yet. "Mr. Lu, I came to you to talk about your 20%, be it acquisition or stock exchange. Mr. Lu, if you have any plans and requirements, you can mention them. Of course, you can also make a direct quotation." Zheng Huiyang said. Lu Yun did not say anything. At this moment, her mobile phone on the coffee table lit up, and a WeChat message came in. Lu Yun glanced at it, and said sorry to Zheng Huiyang softly. She did not pick up the mobile phone, but directly tapped it with her finger. "Open WeChat." The screen of the mobile phone was lying flat on the coffee table. Zheng Huiyang took a sneak peek and found that the WeChat message was not from Xiaofang. She secretly breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, what she was most afraid of was that Xiaofang would come in and disturb her. After reading the WeChat message, Lu Yun did not immediately pick up her phone to reply. Instead, she pushed the phone away slightly, then straightened up, looked at Zheng Huiyang and said, "I was born in 1964. Zheng Huiyang was stunned for a moment, not understanding what Lu Yun suddenly meant by saying such a thing, but she immediately laughed and said, "You can't tell at all, Mr. Lu, I was born in 1972. If the two of us were together, others would think that Mr. Lu was much younger than me. Lu Yun did not comment, smiled, and asked, please help me calculate how old I am. It should be 51, right? Zheng Huiyang said. Yes, one day later, I will be 52, and I have already reached the age of knowing my destiny, Lu Yun said with a smile. I have no family, no children, and to be honest, I make a lot of money every year. You said, I want that, what's the extra money for? Zheng Huiyang was stunned again. This time she really didn't know how to answer this question. She didn't expect that a woman would talk about her age and personal situation so directly. She looked at Lu Yun. Lu Yun's face was very calm, and she couldn't guess what Lu Yun meant when he said this to her. Lu Yun spoke again. She said, I am Bai Bei's godmother. If I want to say that the person I am closest to in this world is Bai Bei. Zheng Huiyang understood a little bit, and her heart became colder. Lu Yun continued to say to her, Xiao Fang is right, Zaixian Shui is not an ordinary company, it is more like a family company. Family company, Mr. Lu, what does this mean? Zheng Huiyang asked. Before you came here, you must have done a background check. You know that Xiao Fang and I are both engaged in investment. However, there is one thing that you may not be able to find out. This time, I am investing in home fresh delivery, so Xiao Fang, whether it is Fang or not, the money we use is not the money entrusted by investors, not the company's money, but our own money. We exist as individual shareholders in Zaixian Shui. If we are using investors' money, based on professional ethics, and you are here today, I will also have a good talk with you, listen to your quotation, and bargain with you based on my responsibility to create maximum returns for investors. As long as the price is right, I have to sell my shares of Zaixian Shui whether I am willing or not. But this is not. This is my own money. You can't even regard it as an investment. To be honest, when Xiao Fang came to talk to me at the time, I still felt that the risks were very high. There were policy reasons. The most important risk is that I will face pressure from your companies, so I will not use investors' money until I see it clearly. The reason why I say this is not even an investment is very simple. Not only is the money my own, but also, I don't expect any return. It's hard to define it as an investment if I don't expect any return, right? I do this for only one purpose, which is to help Bai Bei accomplish this. Do you understand what I say? Zheng Huiyang nodded. Not only did she understand, but her heart was completely cold and heartbroken. She knew that Lu Yun had completely closed the door here. Zheng Huiyang's phone lit up, she opened it, and two words appeared on WeChat, no chance. Zheng Huiyang smiled bitterly. Zheng Huiyang stood up and said goodbye, and the two shook hands. Lu Yun escorted Zheng Huiyang to the company's gate, shook hands again, then one faced outwards, the other turned inwards, and walked together. Lu Yun returned to her office and sat down at her desk. After a while, the phone on the desk rang. Lu Yun picked it up. It was Xiao Fang. Xiao Fang asked. Sister Lu Yun, there is a woman named Zheng Huiyang, who is Lao Wan's wife. Has she ever come to see you? No, Lu Yun said. Why did she come to see me? Weird, Xiao Fang muttered, this doesn't look like Zheng Huiyang's style. Oh, Sister Lu Yun, she just came to me and talked about acquiring Zaixian Shui, but I didn't agree. Lu Yun said. The thieves have taken notice of me, and I believe they won't let it go, Xiao Fang said. Normally, a project that no one cares about is not a good project, Lu Yun said with a smile. Whatever they want, just wait until they come. By the way, Xiao Fang, is Bai Bei back? I'm back, but I was dragged to Yongcheng by Xiang Nan for the New Year's Eve. Xiang Nan has a performance tomorrow night and I can't leave. Lu Yun laughed and said, it's not easy for these two people. They really spend less time together and more time apart. Xiao Fang, why do you think Bai Bei is doing this? He's not short of money either. I don't know, ask his dad. Xiao Fang also laughed. Zheng Huiyang arrived at the underground parking garage of the Sky City e-commerce industrial park again, walked to her car, opened the door and got in. She picked up her phone and clicked on the WeChat message that had just sent her no chance. He was one of her capable men who was sent to Taipei by her. After being introduced by a friend, he went to Building 101 to find Xiaohu. Zheng Huiyang clicked on WeChat voice and asked, "What's going on?" In just one sentence, this Taiwanese man with dimples also used a Hangzhou dialect and said he was a cousin. He said he was just joining in the fun. Since he was just joining in the fun, if Zhang Xiangbei and other shareholders agreed to take action, he will take action. If they don't move, he won't move either. Let us find other people to talk to. Okay, I understand. Zheng Huiyang threw her phone on the passenger seat and sighed heavily. Since there was more and more money in the company, and it was almost full, Teacher Ma began to ask them to attack everywhere. As long as they found valuable companies, or companies that were potential threats to them, they must find ways to acquire them. If there is no way to acquire it, then mix it with sand, that is, participate in investment and become a shareholder of this company. Therefore, Zheng Huiyang walked on two legs. When she went to talk to Xiao Fang, she had already sent someone to Taipei Fubon Financial Holdings to talk to Xiaohu. She hit a wall here with Xiao Fang, so she turned around and went to talk to Lu Yun. Unexpectedly hit another soft nail. In addition, Xiao Fang and the others have no plans to launch in a round. From this point of view, this fresh delivery cannot only be mixed with sand, but can't even be poured with water. Thank you for the amazing reward of 2 fishes. Thank you to the evergreen Emperor Yan, humorous tribe, little gatekeeper, Wang Deitu, traveler Ye Buzan, Xia He in the wind, Pialing Yi, Lao Shenza Sang, Hu Sansi, romantic Sakura Kinchu, book friends 202009031727593111, book friends 20181130105305305944, book friend 2017030319583905 monthly pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1995. After the New Year, Zhang Xiangbei rushed back to Hangzhou on New Year's Day, took Zhang Xiangzi home and put him down, and immediately drove to the company. He didn't go to the company for 2 days. Although he and Wu Huan and the others were on video every day, Zhang Xiangbei still I feel a little empty in my heart, and I have to sit in my office to feel at ease. When he arrived at the company, Zhang Xiangbei first went around the workshop below. Many people who saw him greeted him and said, "Mr. Zhang is back." Zhang Xiangbei was stunned for a moment at first, and then he remembered that it had been almost a month since he left Hangzhou and the workshop here. Only when people here saw him would they think he was a rare guest. The reason why Zhang Xiangbei doesn't feel this way is that their workshops in Beijing, Tianjin, Guangzhou, or Shenzhen are all too similar. Zhang Xiangbei feels that he is always in the workshop, forgetting that this workshop is not that workshop, and that the equipment and assembly lines are not. They are the same, but the people inside are all different. If they were the same, it would be troublesome. Zhang Xiangbei couldn't help but smile. He walked upstairs in 3 steps and 2 steps at a time. People he met along the way would often greet him and say, "Are you back?" Zhang Xiangbei kept nodding his head and responded with "Hmm." Zhang Xiangbei walked to the door of his office and took out his key to open the door. Wu Huan next door heard the noise outside and walked out. When he saw him, he also asked, "You're back?" Zhang Xiangbei said "Hmm." By Bei a figure followed Wu Huan out. Zhang Xiangbei took a closer look and saw that it was Zheng Huiyang. Zhang Xiangbei shouted, "Aunt Huiyang, why are you here? Come to see you. I know that when you come back today, you will definitely come to the company and won't be able to stay at home," Zheng Huiyang said. Zhang Xiangbei was surprised and asked, "How did you know I was coming back today?" "I went to see Xiaofang," Zheng Huiyang said, "she told me." Zhang Xiangbei was still a little confused, but he still opened the door and asked Zheng Huiyang to come in and sit down. Xiaofang did not tell Zhang Xiangbei that Zheng Huiyang came to see her, let alone that teacher Ma wanted to buy their Zaixian. Xiaofang felt that she could handle this kind of thing by herself, and there was no need for them to disturb her. Zhang Xiangbei. Wu Huan followed in, poured water for Zheng Huiyang, then glanced meaningfully at Zhang Xiangbei, and said to Zheng Huiyang, "Mr. Zheng, talk to Mr. Zhang. If you need anything, call me." Zheng Huiyang said, thank you, go and do your work." Wu Huan walked out and closed the door of Zhang Xiangbei's office. Zhang Xiangbei asked Zheng Huiyang, "Aunt Huiyang, do you know Wu Huan?" "Of course, their colorful network is still included in my collection," Zheng Huiyang said, and Zhang Xiangbei laughed, "Hey, why did you forget this?" "I don't know what happened during this period of time. All I could think about was fresh food delivered to my home. Apart from fresh food delivered to my home, I didn't care about anything else. Everything seems to be a mess." Zheng Huiyang came to see Zhang Xiangbei today. Of course, she had no other purpose. She was not here to take a look, but to discuss the purchase of Zai Xianshui. After encountering difficulties with Xiaofang, Lu Yun, and Xiahua, Zheng Huiyang still refused to die. "In my heart, I finally understood that the key to the acquisition of Zai Xianshui is Zhang Xiangbei. As long as Zhang Xiangbei agrees, other people will not be a problem." Zheng Huiyang was confident about coming to talk to Zhang Xiangbei. After returning from Xiaofang and Lu Yun, Zheng Huiyang reported the situation to Teacher Ma. Teacher Ma's instruction to Zheng Huiyang was that she must win the Zaixian delivery because the money was not enough. "Just add it until they are excited. I don't believe there are companies in this world that can't be acquired." Zheng Huiyang felt more confident because of this. In addition, Zhang Xiangbei was different from Xiaofang and Lu Yun. Zhang Xiangbei was a young man. Young people all over the country now call Teacher Ma Papa Ma. Their company's reputation is also well known. HRI told Zheng Huiyang that a recruitment website had conducted a survey and that their company is now one of the companies that fresh graduates across the country most want to join. Although Zhang Xiangbei graduated from Yale, their HR department had people who came from Harvard, UMass, and Yale, and there was a mountain of personnel information waiting for their interview call. "Bai, Wu Huan just took me to see it below. It's very good and impressive," Zheng Huiyang said. Zhang Xiangbei said, "Thank you. We don't understand it very well. We are learning everything while exploring. By the way, when it comes to help, your company has helped me a lot." "Our company? What did we help you with?" Zheng Huiyang asked puzzledly. "Wu Huan and Wu Yu both came from your company. Without them, this company wouldn't be able to get off the ground. You have trained them very well. I picked them up ready-made." "I must thank you," Zhang Xiangbei said. Zheng Huiyang laughed, "Bai, you are really good at talking. By the way, Bai, if you are so interested in our company, why not come to our company directly? I heard from Wu Huan that you often ask her about us company's situation." Zhang Xiangbei laughed and said, yes, Aunt Huiyang, I am indeed very interested in your company, but I have no plans to go to your company. What if I invite you? What if Boss Ma comes to invite you personally?" Zheng Huiyang asked. Zhang Xiangbei shook his head, "I won't go, I have my own company." "Oh, no, Aunt Huiyang, what do you mean by this? Also, you came today, not just to take a look, right?" "Xiaofang didn't tell you?" Zheng Huiyang asked. "What did you say to me?" Zhang Xiangbei asked. "Bai, let me tell you, our company values your project very much and wants to acquire your Zaixian delivery. Do you think it is okay?" "No," Zhang Xiangbei returned without thinking. "If you are acquired by us, you can go to our company, directly to M7. Zheng Huiyang said, do you want me to tell you about the position at M7? Thank you, no need, Aunt Huiyang. Zhang Xiangbei said, even the AK-47 is useless. If I don't go, the company won't sell it. You can set the price, you have the courage to do so, Zheng Huiyang said. Zhang Xiangbei still shook his head and said, I won't sell it no matter how much it costs. Why, Bai Bei? Zhang Xiangbei looked at Zheng Huiyang and asked, Aunt Huiyang, do you want to hear the truth? Zheng Huiyang nodded. Do you know why I want to do home delivery? I am the one who wants to kill your teacher Ma. If you think about it, there is no reason for me to withdraw from the battlefield in advance before there is a head-on confrontation. Zhang Xiangbei said slowly and slowly. Zheng Huiyang was stunned for a moment, but then she laughed and said, not surprising, there are many people who want to kill teacher Ma, but none of them have succeeded so far. From the day we were born, eBay and Amazon have wanted to kill us. However, the last one to leave the Chinese market is they. Vipshop and Dangdang have also thought about it, and JD.com and Pinduoduo are still thinking about it, but we are still doing well. I don't care what others think or do, Zhang Xiangbei said, I will push you into the corner step by step. Okay. Be ambitious. Auntie likes it, Zheng Huiyang shouted, if young people don't have such ambition, they won't be able to become great people. But Bai Bei, having ambition is one thing, reality is another. In a word, it's not that the ideal is very full and the reality is very skinny, the world of the internet is even more skinny. Look at how many companies have been wiped out by the waves over the years. Anyway, I won't be wiped out by you. You may be the one to wipe me out in the end. Zhang Xiangbei said, Dobeo is gone was a pun, and both of them laughed. Zheng Huiyang said, okay, when that day comes, I will come to work for you. Bai Bei, you have to take me in, okay. Zhang Xiangbei said yes and burst out laughing. After Zhang Xiangbei finished laughing, Zheng Huiyang looked at Zhang Xiangbei and said seriously, Bai Bei, Auntie, let me tell you the truth, okay. Zhang Xiangbei nodded, Auntie, tell me. Auntie just told you that reality is very skinny. I am not threatening you, nor am I relying on my old age to show off my old age. Bai Bei, you are still young. The reality may be more skinny and gloomy than you imagine. If it were 10 years ago, you said this, and XIN, at that time, we ourselves were also in difficulty. If others hit us, we could only parry. It's a miracle for us to be able to survive for one day. I'm serious. At that time, we were in this situation. We listened to teacher Ma telling us stories every day, and we were still doubtful. We felt that this story it is far away from us, but today it is different from what it used to be. The development of the company scares me. We are now a unicorn company. Bai Bei, I shouldn't have said this to you originally, but Auntie wants to tell you, do you know what we will do if we can't acquire a company? That is to knock it to the ground and put another foot on it. We cannot watch a potential competitor grow up under our noses. The reason is very simple. If we don't cripple you today, we will spend 10 times 100 times the financial resources and energy to fight you in the future. Therefore, we can't let you go very far. Besides, I don't think it's our family. Others, like JD.com and Tencent, are also impossible. Bai Bei, please think carefully about what Auntie told you, okay? Thank you, Auntie. Zhang Xiangbei looked at Zheng Huiyang and said to her, actually, I had expected to be beaten by you, but I didn't expect it to be so soon. You are elephants and I am still an ant. How can you elephants be so connected, not sparing an ant? I told you before, we will not let ants turn into elephants, Zheng Huiyang said. Zhang Xiangbei nodded, I understand. Bai Bei, I don't want you to make a decision now. Think about it carefully. When you have this idea or change your mind, you can call me, okay? Zhang Xiangbei said yes. Also, if other companies come to you, can you also tell Auntie? Don't worry, no matter what conditions other companies offer, we can be better on their terms, okay, bye bye, Zheng Huiyang? Ask. Zhang Xiangbei still said yes. Zhang Xiangbei sent Zheng Huiyang out. Zheng Huiyang walked to the door of Wu Huan's office and said hello to Wu Huan. Wu Huan quickly walked out. The two of them sent Zheng Huiyang to the door and watched her get in the car and leave. Zhang Xiangbei and Wu Huan walked back together. Wu Huan asked, "Have you been surrendered?" "No, the inducement was not successful," Zhang Xiangbei said. "That's good," Wu Huan said, "I'm still wondering if I will be so miserable. It's been less than a year since I came out, and I have to go back now." Zhang Xiangbei laughed. "Thank you to Tian Wei, and Hao," Zi Zhang said. Readers 12978738407110656, and book friends 201703031958399050 for their monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1996. Gu Gong walked into Zhang Xiangbei's office and said to him mysteriously, "Mr. Zhang, do you want to see the New Year pig being killed or drink the pig-killing wine?" Zhang Xiangbei looked up at him, and Gu Gong continued, "I promise to let you eat such delicious pork as you have never eaten before. By the way, it is fresher than what you eat in Shan, Guangzhou. In Shan, you have to wait for the meat to be slaughtered. The meat is brought here from the farm, and here you can really kill and eat it at the same time, with the pigs howling ringing in your ears, and the meat is already here." "What is the New Year pig? What is pig-killing wine?" Zhang Xiangbei asked. Gu Gong said, "Isn't it almost the Chinese New Year? People who raise pigs in the countryside will start to kill pigs, pickle bacon, and make pig-killing wine, which is eaten when pigs are killed. In the countryside, pig killing is a big deal. Put a few tables of wine, kill a pig, give it away with food, and you'll lose half of what's left." Zhang Xiangbei smiled and said, "Isn't that raising a child in vain? When others kill pigs, they will also give you meat, and they will also invite you to drink pig-killing wine and eat and drink. From now until the Spring Festival, pigs will be killed almost every day in the village. Everyone sends pork to each other and treats each other. There is pork every day. Eat," Gu Gong said. "This is not bad, just like the Pork Mutual Aid Association," Zhang Xiangbei said. "In the era before refrigerators, this was really a good idea. It was equivalent to keeping the pigs fresh in the pig pen and having fresh pork to eat every day." Yes, this custom of killing the New Year pig was handed down from that time. Gu Gong said, "In those remote mountain villages, there is no place to buy pork. If there is something at home, if you want to entertain guests, you have to travel dozens of miles to the town to buy it. If you usually eat meat, you will rely on bacon in the first half of the year, and in the second half of the year just rely on ham. Bacon won't last long as worms will grow on it, but ham can. It doesn't matter how many years it is stored. If you want to eat fresh meat, you can only eat it in the month before the Spring Festival." After Gu Gong finished speaking, he added, "Unfortunately, there are fewer pigs in the village this year, and it is not so easy for everyone to eat meat." "Why?" Zhang Xiangbei asked, "is it because the price of pork is not good and you don't want to raise it?" "No, they were bought by us. We bought 37 pigs in that village. Mr. Zhang, have you forgotten? The family that is going to kill pigs today has 3 pigs at home, and 2 of them are sold. He gave it to us and kept one at home. This is the pig we will kill tonight. Our 2 pigs will be killed during the day tomorrow. I will ask the cold chain truck to wait there and bring them back after killing them." Gu Gong and Zhang Xiangbei said that Zhang Xiangbei remembered that this is what Gu Gong said that day. The ham, bacon, and soy pork that he ordered were all Jinhu Liang Tuwu, the head and buttocks of this kind of pig. The hair color including the tail part is black, and the hair color on the pig's body is white, so it is called liangtuwu. The two-headed black pigs raised by farmers and used to make high-quality Jinhua ham usually only eat pig grass, bran, and wheat bran. After being raised for 7 or 8 months, they will weigh about 150 pounds. It is best to slaughter Jinhua ham at this time. It will not be like Yunnan Suanwei or Nyadeng ham, where there will be 500 or 600 kilograms of pigs, and a ham will weigh 40 or 50 kilograms. If there is such a big Jinhua ham, a knowledgeable person will know it is fake at a glance. It is definitely not the hind legs of two-headed blackbirds. All hams are made from pig hind legs and the front legs are pig trotters, which are stewed and eaten. Jinhua two-headed crow, also known as the Chinese panda pig, is listed in the National Livestock and Poultry Breeds Resource Protection List by the Ministry of Agriculture and is one of the local livestock and poultry breeds under national key protection. Of course, many of the hams you buy on the market now are fed on feed. They are ready for slaughter after 4 or 5 months, and can weigh more than 200 kilograms. It can be said that they are two-headed pigs instantly. Such pig hind legs, how can the ham be delicious? Gu Gong said, even the pickled pig head and bacon are not delicious, the fat is too thick. Where is this place you are talking about? Zhang Xiangbei asked. Beijiao in Pujiang, Gu Gong said. I been to Beijiao. The two were talking when Xiao Wu walked in. Hearing Gu Gong talking about Beijiao, Xiao Wu interrupted. In the mountains of Pujiang, it is 40 or 50 miles away from Pujiang County. After climbing over the mountains behind, you will reach the source of Yangcheng. The roads there are not easy to walk, they are winding roads and are very narrow. You can only pass by hand. I hold the tractor and drive over the mountain to the Fukun River, where I will reach my hometown, Xiao Wu said. Gu Gong laughed and said. When did you go there? They were still walking tractors. Now in the countryside, can you still see walking tractors? At last they were agricultural vehicles. The road is indeed not wide. It is a village road, but it has been transformed into a cement road. When I went there for the first time, yes, it was a gravel road with so many potholes that even motorcycles didn't dare to drive fast for fear of being thrown down the mountain. I went there more than 20 years ago and performed there. Gu Gong and Zhang Xiangbei laughed. Gu Gong asked, did you win? There were so many people, and they had been publicizing it for so long in advance. The other party had already known about it and was prepared. That is, everyone stood on the top of the mountain and yelled at each other for a long time. Why is this? Zhang Xiangbei asked. When two villages fight, the interests are direct. The one above you has cut off the water source. In my village, everyone's fields have no water, which directly affects the interests of each household. The urge to fight is yes, Gu Gong said. Zhang Xiangbei nodded and felt that what Gu Gong said made sense. Fighting is actually the easiest conflict. You say something to me, and we started fighting without even arguing. When it came time to make an appointment, everyone started to bluff. When I looked at the scene, I saw that you have my acquaintances over there and I have your acquaintances here, so the fight stopped and turned into a negotiation. Looking at the world structure, it is not easy for big countries to fight each other, and it is even more difficult for nuclear-armed countries to fight each other. If they have the ability to destroy each other, there will be a balance of terror. At most, it will be a Cold War, or a proxy war, and small countries will fight against each other. If you don't agree, just do it. Xiao Wu asked them what they were doing in Beijiao. Gu Gong talked to him, and Xiao Wu asked. When are you coming back? The pig slaughtering is at the second house in the evening. It is estimated to start around 10 o'clock. We will go there in the evening. It will take us 2.5 hours to get there. It's okay. If we want to go, I will ask them to wait for us. Wait. We kill the pigs when we arrive. After watching the pig slaughtering and drinking the pig-killing wine, we rush back without delaying work, Gu Gong said. I'll go too, Xiao Wu said. Gu Gong agreed, if you go, I will drive when you go, you can drive when you come back, and then we can drink freely. Why do they kill pigs at night? Zhang Xiangbei asked. It's too busy. There are only 2 pig butchers. Pigs from 3 villages have to be killed. It's our turn tonight. We will kill 1 tonight and 2 during the day tomorrow. We will go to another house in the afternoon. Pig butcher? Private slaughter. Zhang Xiangbei was surprised and asked, don't they all require designated slaughter points now? The pigs that are slaughtered and eaten in rural areas are not needed. For us, it is just a side project. Our batch of ham and bacon will not be sold anyway. When we want to purchase large-scale purchases in several villages, we will go to designated slaughterhouses. Gu Gong said, however, when the time comes, I will contact the slaughterhouse to see if I can ask a pig butcher to kill it manually. The pigs killed in the slaughterhouse are not as delicious as those killed by the pig butcher. What's the difference between this? Zhang Xiangbei asked. The difference is huge, Gu Gong said. Slaughterhouses use high-voltage electricity to electrosthesize pigs, or use high-concentration carbon dioxide to make pigs faint, and then stab and bleed them. At that time, the pigs are in a coma, and the blood, if the butcher kills the pig will struggle to death on the chopping board. The more it struggles, the cleaner the blood will flow. Exercise the pig, and the meat will be more fragrant. Zhang Xiangbei has been to a slaughterhouse and has seen the scene of pig killing. It is indeed as Gu Gong said. The pigs that have been inspected, quarantined, and showered are lined up on the conveyor belt one after another after being electrolytically anesthetized, just like all the pigs on the operating table. The numb patient was in a coma, and he didn't even know how he died in the end. Zhang Xiangbei had never seen artificial slaughter, and he immediately became interested. How are you doing, Mr. Zhang? Are you going? The consultant asked Zhang Xiangbei. Don't ask him, I'm sure to go. If he doesn't tie him up, I'll tie him up. Xiao Wu couldn't hold himself back for a long time and shouted from the side. Zhang Xiangbei said. No need to tie me up, I'm definitely going to join in the fun. In the evening, Zhang Xiangbei and the others went to the canteen for dinner early because they were going to Pujiang. They walked to the parking lot and were ready to set off. Sun Xiangyang and Zhou Ruyi wandered around and came out of the workshop, preparing to go to the canteen for dinner. Seeing them, the 2 people walked towards them. When Gu Gong saw it, he shouted to Zhang Xiangbei in a low voice, oh no, 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 don't take women with you. The scene was too bloody. I'll vomit on the spot after watching it. Zhang Xiangbei couldn't help but laugh. He felt that Gu Gong was right to worry. If he told Sun Xiangyang and Zhou Ruyi that they were going to watch the New Year pig being killed and eat pig-killing wine, these 2 guys would definitely go with them. If you don't let them go, it's no use, just drive away, they will immediately drive up and follow their car shamelessly. When they get there, if Zhou Ruyi vomits, not only will the scene be ugly, but she will also be yelling at them all night long, using Mandarin mixed with Hangzhou dialect and Cantonese, scolding them until they are stink. It's better not to cause this trouble. When they approached, Zhang Xiangbei asked before they spoke, have you eaten yet? No, Zhou Ruyi said. Where are you going? Sun Xiangyang asked. How about we go to the agricultural capital to have a look? Let's go together, Zhang Xiangbei asked, pretending to be casual. Zhou Ruyi rolled her eyes at him and scolded, you want us to go to the wholesale market with you when we are hungry? That's a good idea. It's off duty now and we won't listen to your orders. Zhou Ruyi said and took Sun Xiangyang to the canteen. The 3 people immediately got into the car and couldn't help laughing. Gu Gong said, not bad, Mr. Zhang, very resourceful. The 3 people laughed too loudly. Sun Xiangyang and Zhou Ruyi hadn't gone far yet. When they heard their laughter, The two people turned around and looked at them. Zhang Xiangbei quickly said to Gu Gong, "Go quickly, go quickly. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes, no matter who asked me, I don't know. Thank you for your monthly votes from Yuzazialiu, the end begins, Wang Deitu, White Teeth of the Sky, Yuengzi, Tianwei Y, Mao, Dao Yeching Feng Tu, Smoke Kiss Fire Machine, no future, just remember the original intention, Yunlong Frajiao. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1997. Winter nights get dark early and quickly. When Zhang Xiangbei and the 3 of them got on the car in the company parking lot, it was still bright. By the time they got on the Hangjin-Kuzhu Expressway and drove on the Jiantang River, it was already dark outside. It started to get dark, and there was a cruise ship on the river with bright lights, moving slowly like a bright caterpillar. Only 20 minutes later, darkness had fallen. After dark, there are more large trucks on the highway, as if everyone is waiting to get on the road after dark. The large trucks not only block the second and third channels, but the traffic flows at a speed of 60 to 70 yards. Moving forward, there were also large trucks, so they simply ran into the passing lane. Gu Gong was cursing while driving. When he was cursing, he was really knowledgeable about both China and the West. It was an eye-opener for Zhang Xiangbei and Xiao Wu. They did not expect that this Gu Gong was still suffering from road fever on the highway. Zhang Xiangbei and Xiao Wu listened and laughed non-stop. Zhang Xiangbei thought to himself that it was lucky that it was Xiao Wu who drove with him across half of China, not Gu Gong. Otherwise, his ears and heart couldn't bear it, and he would faint from laughing. Zhang Xiangbei said, "I don't know how many of our vegetable trucks are on the road at this time and are being scolded like this." Gu Gong said, "That's right, I can't criticize others as much as myself. I can't scold them anymore." Sure enough, he shut up, but not for 5 minutes. He was about to pass a large truck, but the truck suddenly turned on the turn signal and changed lanes to the passing lane. Gu Gong couldn't help but cursed again. This is a big truck. For a car with a Liaoning license plate, Mr. Gu started to scold Zhang Suiliang. Zhang Xiangbei and Xiao Wu listened, their stomachs hurt from laughing. The more they laughed, the harder Gu Gong scolded. It was completely dark outside, but there was a bright light on the highway, and it was dazzling. The car coming from the opposite direction had its high beam headlights on and did not change the low beam headlights. Gu Gong scolded him again. This time I moved out my country, my people by Lin Yutang and the ugly Chinese by Bo Yang. Xiao Wu reminded, Gu Gong, you also turned on the high beam and did not change the lights. Yes, it's just that there are too many ugly people like me. They see others as reckless and see themselves as saints, which is why they become like this. Otherwise, everyone would not break the rules, and this society would be in order. Gu Gong cursed. He even cursed himself, and Zhang Xiangbei and the others didn't know what to say except laughing. When we got off the expressway at the Pujiang exit and drove west, the car plunged into the rolling mountains. Market towns appeared on the roadside and passed by in a flash. The market towns were also surrounded by mountains, and the distance between them also began to grow longer. The further you drive, the darker the night becomes, and there are fewer and fewer vehicles on the road. Gu Gong no longer curses, and the mountains and forests outside are silent. You can't yell at them. The car went up and down the winding mountain road and reached a relatively open area. Gu Gong stopped the car and said he needed to urinate. When Zhang Xiangbei opened the car door, the biting cold air hit his face and he couldn't help but shiver. 3 people stood on the roadside to urinate. Through the car lights, They saw that the grass on the roadside had already formed a thin layer of frost. After restarting, the car began to climb up the mountain. It was quiet outside the car window, but my ears began to buzz with tinnitus. They drove in the mountains like this for nearly an hour, and after passing a ridge, a bright light appeared in the mountain col ahead. There were about 6 or 7 houses, one of which was particularly bright. The other houses had lights on in their windows. This house it's the lights on in the yard. Gu Gong and Zhang Xiangbei said, "We're here, this is Beijiao." "That's not right," Xiao Wu said, "I remember that Beijiao is on the top of the mountain. There are about 100 families there, and there is a big camphor tree at the entrance of the village." "It's up there," Gu Gong said. "After the roads were built here, some people built new houses. However, the big camphor tree you mentioned is gone." "Dead?" Xiao Wu asked. "It was bought by a developer in Hangzhou." "Which community is it probably in now?" Gu Gong said. Gu Gong turned left and drove the car directly towards the house with the headlights on in the yard. The courtyard door was wide open, and the door in front of the hall was also wide open. Someone was playing cards, and there were 7 or 8 people surrounding it. Looking on the side, I saw Gu Gong and his car turning in, and someone shouted, "I'm coming. Don't fight." The standing owner of the house reached out and took the cards from someone's hand, threw them on the table, and then went out to greet the guests. However, the people at the card table started arguing, and everyone collected the change in front of them, while saying that his hand was very good and he would have won. Gu Gong parked the car and the 3 people got out of the car. The owner of the house had already walked up to them and shook hands with Gu Gong. Gu Gong introduced Zhang Xiangbei and Xiao Wu that this was Lao Bao, and then told Zhang Xiangbei and Xiao Wu, also introduced to Lao Bao. Zhang Xiangbei stood there and took a look. It was a newly built building with 3 floors. There was also a large terrace on the 2nd floor. The exterior walls were covered with ceramic tiles and the cornices were installed with glazed tiles. It looked quite impressive. The yard was poured with water. There is a cement floor and a bungalow on the side, which should be their kitchen or utility room. A temporary wire was pulled out in the yard, and a 200-watt light bulb was installed on the lamp holder. It was hung on the horizontal branch of a loquat tree. Under the light was a pig-killing tool that was 1 meter long and 50 centimeters wide. The chopping board of the chopping board is very thick, 8 or 9 centimeters long. The chopping board and legs are made of hardwood. They have never been painted. After years of tempering, they look even more unrecognizable. However, this unclear appearance gives people a very heavy feeling. On the edge of the table, there is a large wooden basin with a diameter of 1 meter and waist height. On the edge of the wooden basin is a small wooden foot basin. There was a wooden ladder placed against the wall near the door of the house. Zhang Xiangbei didn't know what the ladder was for and why it was placed here. The consultant asked Lao Bao, "Is the pig butcher here?" "We're here, rest inside, I'll be waiting for you. Come in, sit down, and have a sip of tea." As he spoke, Lao Bao led them in and moved them toward the table. The people who were originally sitting playing cards saw them coming and automatically gave up their seats. Zhang Xiangbei looked around. Different from the majestic appearance outside the house, there was no decoration inside the house. The 4 walls were painted white, and even the floor was a bare cement floor. Although it was built not long ago, there was already a layer of concrete on the cement floor. There were layers of oil stains, and the entire spacious hall was empty. There was no furniture, except for the 8 immortals table and 4 benches on the side. There is also a recliner at the foot of the wall. There is a person lying on the recliner, covered with a shiny cotton coat. Although there are so many people and noisy people around him, he is sleeping soundly. It can be seen that this family must have spent all their savings on this house. Once the house is built, they will have no financial resources or energy to take care of the inside and turn the house into a beautiful one. Shell. Lao Bao shouted to a woman and asked her to serve tea to Boss Zhang, Boss Gu, and Boss Wu, and then said to a young man, "Go and wake up your master." The young man walked to the recliner and pushed the person lying down. It turned out that the person who was sleeping soundly was the butcher, the pig butcher that Gu Gong said. He must be exhausted after killing pigs for a day. Sleep wherever you go. The pig butcher looked at the young man with squinted eyes, and the young man said, "Everyone is here." The pig butcher's Adam's apple moved and his eyes closed again. Zhang Xiangbei thought he was going to sleep again, but he saw him take out his hands from under his coat and slap his face twice. Then he sat up and looked this way, his eyes a little confused. The butcher is not tall, but very strong. After the coat that covers him is opened, he is left with only a shirt. Only the bottom two buttons of the shirt are buttoned. The top is open, and a tuft of thick black chest hair is exposed. "Come out." Lao Bao walked over and asked, "Has it started?" "Start," the pig killer said and stood up. He untied the cloth belt tied around his waist and tied it tightly again. Then he walked to the door, took off a long rubber apron from the nail on the wall, and put it around his neck. The apprentice quickly tied the belt behind him. The butcher then took off his walking shoes and put his feet into a pair of high rain boots at the foot of the wall. While he was doing this, the apprentice took another long rubber apron off the nail and put it around his neck. There was no one to help him tie the straps, so he reached behind and tied them with his hands, and then put his feet into another pair of rain boots. The two people walked out, and everyone in the room followed them. Even before the tea was served, Zhang Xiangbei and the others stood up again and followed them out. Lao Bao looked at them and said nothing. He seemed to have forgotten about serving tea. The woman came out from next door with an empty teacup. As soon as she saw everyone had gone out, she quickly put the cup on the table, ran out, and ran to the house on the side, which had a large wood stove. The woman shouted to an old woman sitting at the mouth of the stove, "Add more firewood and boil the water quickly." The water in the big pot was almost boiling. The old woman added firewood, took the bamboo blower and put it into the stove. She puffed up her cheeks and blew air. After a while, the stove was filled with blazing fire. The old woman's face turned red. The butcher picked up his butcher knife and scraped the blade with his thumb to feel the sharpness of the knife. This was just a habitual action. In fact, the knife had already been sharpened and tried. Zhang Xiangbei looked at it. It felt like he was experiencing the murderous aura coming from the blade. The butchers who kill pigs are very murderous. It is said that when they walk at night, even ghosts will run away from them when they see them. The butcher then pointed the butcher's knife backwards and inserted it into the belt on his back. The second thing he held in his hand was an iron hook polished with steel bars. The hook was about half a foot long, and an 8 or 9 centimeter long handle was welded horizontally to the other end. The pig man held the iron hook and waved it twice. Lao Bao asked, "Shall I drive the pigs out?" The butcher nodded. Lao Bao walked around the bungalow and walked to the back. After a while, he held a bamboo pole in his hand and drove a pig out. The pig grunted all the way and looked confused. It probably didn't know that he was sleeping. Dejianxiang, why was he woken up? Seeing it so bright and with so many people in the yard, the pig seemed a little scared, and turned around to go back. The bamboo pole in Lao Bao's hand immediately hit its buttocks, and it could only bark twice in a low voice. With small steps, he hurried forward. It doesn't know that this is the last part of its life and that its death has come. The pig killer who decided whether it lived or died yawned, then wiped the corners of his eyes with his fingers and flicked away a piece of eye droppings. Thank you book friend 854974 for the tip. Thank you Yuengzi for your monthly pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1998. The weather was very cold, and the cold wind in the mountain was howling. When everyone opened their mouths, there was a cloud of hot air in front of them, but no one retreated into the house. Everyone stood in the yard, and the number of people was getting bigger and bigger. Many. Everyone stared at the pig, as if they were seeing it off. The neighbors next door were lying in bed, listening to what was going on outside. First they heard a car coming, and then they heard the excitement outside. They quickly put on their clothes and got up, and came over to watch the excitement. Anyway, you just want to sleep next. It's impossible to sleep. When you get here, after watching the excitement, you can drink a glass of hot wine and get back into bed with your whole body warm. Among the newcomers, when someone saw Gu Gong, they came over and called him Teacher Gu. It was obvious that Gu Gong was quite popular in this area. However, why did they call him Teacher Gu? Zhang Xiangbei didn't know. I know, there is no experience as a teacher in Gu Gong's resume. His wanton heart can't even keep him on the university platform, let alone other schools. All schools are rotten, this is what Gu Gong often says, and of course he will not rot with them. Gu Gong nodded towards the visitor and did not say a word. Instead, he pointed towards the pig butcher with his hand, indicating that if he had anything to say, he would talk about it later and watch the excitement first. Old Bao drove the pig towards the pig butcher. When the pig's head twisted to the left cheek was hit by a bamboo pole. When it twisted to the right cheek was hit by a bamboo stick. It could only keep walking towards the pig butcher. Only in the past can we avoid being hit by bamboo poles. The pig butcher held the iron hook in his right hand, stretched out his left hand towards the pig, and turned his palm upwards, as if he was gently warning the pig to be good, obedient, and not to make noise or make trouble. When the pig approached the butcher took 2 steps back, then 2 more steps, until he reached the edge of the desk. There was no way to retreat. At this time, the apprentice had quietly walked behind the pig and stood with Lao Bao. The pig walked half a meter away from the pig butcher and refused to move forward. He stood there, and when he wanted to step back, the bamboo pole in Lao Bao's hand fell like raindrops, but no matter how he hit him, the pig just refused to go any further. It smelled the murderous aura in the pig butcher. Gu Gong leaned close to Zhang Xiangbei's ear and said. The pig butcher made a squeak sound from his mouth. As soon as he made this sound, Lao Bao stopped beating the pig. The strange thing was that the pig also calmed down and stood there, no longer moving, pricking up his ears and listening. The butcher continued to yell and took 2 steps forward. The pig was confused and raised its head. The butcher stretched out his hand and patted its head. The pig shook its head, as if it was a little shy. The pig butcher suddenly waved his right hand, and the iron hook in his hand plunged into the pig's chin. The pig was startled and quickly stepped back. Only then did he feel his chin was caught by the iron hook. There was a heartbreaking pain. The pig let out a frightened and angry cry, and then the screams became a series, shaking the heaven and the earth. The entire mountain col was filled. The anger in the cry was getting less and less, and the fear was more and more. Zhang Xiangbei felt that it was wailing. Just as the pig butcher hooked the pig's chin with an iron hook, the apprentice grabbed the pig's tail. The poor pig was controlled one by one. It kicked its feet wildly and couldn't escape at all. Screaming at the top of his lungs. The pig butcher yelled, "Let's go." The apprentice worked hard with him to drag the pig to the edge of the bill. The pig butcher yelled, "Get up," and the 2 of them exerted force on their hands at the same time. With a thud, the pig of more than 100 kilograms was thrown by them. Fell on the bill. Crushed to death, the pig killer gave another command. His voice was so powerful that it could be heard clearly through the pig's howling. The apprentice raised his right foot, stepped onto the counter, pressed the pig's 2 hind legs with his calves, leaned forward, completely pressing on the pig, hugged the pig's back with his right hand, and grabbed the pig's upper hand with his left hand. Pulling the left front hoof back hard, almost broke it. When the left leg hurt, the pig's right front hoof stretched straight like a conditioned reflex, motionless, and couldn't even pedal. There was no need for anyone to catch it. The pig finally knew that it was in danger. It let out a series of shrill and piercing screams. The screams were like a piece of sharp glass, not piercing the human heart, but scratching it time and time again. The thorns were not so sharp. And despair, scraping is a physical and psychological blow to people. Zhang Xiangbei felt that his heart and whole body tightened at the sound of the pig. If his hands could feel his body, his hands must be cold. This scream was so miserable. Zhang Xiangbei prided himself on being very courageous. Hearing such a voice, he felt it was too miserable. The butcher pulled out the iron hook from the pig's chin and threw it on the ground. He grabbed the pig's head with his left hand, put his knee on the back of the pig's neck, pulled the pig's head back hard, and pulled out the butcher's knife from behind with his right hand. Lao Bao kept jumping around to see if he could be of any help, but he couldn't help. The pig killer glared at him and yelled, "Blood basin!" Lao Bao woke up with an "oh" and quickly put the wooden basin in front of the desk. Salt had been sprinkled in the wooden basin. This wooden basin was used to hold pig blood. The salt helps the pig blood to coagulate quickly. The butcher waved his right hand, and the sword flashed, and the pig let out one last shrill scream, and then stopped abruptly. When the butcher knife was pulled out from under the pig's neck, blood oozed out and hit the blood below. In the basin, Gugu was steaming. The butcher scratched the butcher's knife on the rubber apron twice, front and back, and put the knife back into his belt behind him. He used both hands to push the pig's head back hard, allowing the knife edge to expand and the blood to flow out more freely. The pig held down by the two people struggled, but it was in vain. The more he struggled, the faster his blood spurted out. As the blood volume gradually decreased, the pig on the table gradually became quiet. "Master! Amazing!" Gu Gong yelled, and the pig butcher turned around and grinned at him. The key to killing pigs is to kill a pig with one cut. A good butcher can only kill it with one cut. He cannot kill it with one cut. Without face, the pig has no dignity. It is equivalent to dying twice and suffering twice. That is, the person who kills the pig is committing evil. Pig butchers with poor skills need help from 4 or 5 people to kill a pig, and they are still in a hurry. They need help catching the pig, carrying the case, and holding the pig down. There are even some who are not good at it. Butcher, there is nothing you can do with the pig. You still need to tie the 4 trotters of the pig with ropes. That actually prolongs the pig's suffering. Like this pig killer, he looks very cold, but his actions are simple, clear and quick. Before the pig understands what is going on, all the blood has been drained. The master and the apprentice kill a pig in just a few minutes. If he dies, this shortens the pig's suffering time. No wonder Gugu's trade union praises him, and no wonder their business is so good. They are pigs. After being raised for a long time, people and pigs also have feelings. No one would like to see their pigs tied up and wailing, and being stabbed in the police case. Since the pain is inevitable, let this be the case. The pain shortened rapidly. Gu Gong sighed, pigs are really inferior to humans. Zhang Xiangbei and Xiao Wu looked at him, and Gu Gong whispered to them. Pigs are very pitiful. Even if people are shot and beheaded, they will still let you have a full meal, a good meal, and then go on the road. The pig that is going to be killed has not been given food since yesterday. Even the straw in the pig pens was cleared out of fear that they would be too hungry and eat the straw. The pigs had been hungry all day and night, and they had no strength left. Those last few blows were really screaming and struggling with their lives. Zhang Xiangbei and Xiao Wu were silent. Feeling that the pig under him was dead, the apprentice straightened up and patted the pig's body with his hand. The pig did not move. The butcher shook his head towards the apprentice, who quickly took the big wooden barrel to the desk. Superior. The pig butcher kicked the blood basin aside with his feet, and said to Lao Bao, boil the water. Lao Bao ran away screaming. The butcher grabbed the pig's ear, and the apprentice grabbed the pig's tail. The butcher yelled "Go!" and the two people lifted the dead pig away from the case and onto the big wooden barrel. The apprentice let go first, and the butcher after releasing it, the pig butt first fell into the big wooden barrel, as if it was sitting there. Lao Bao and his wife came over with 2 buckets of boiling water and poured the water into the big wooden bucket. They ran back and brought 2 more buckets. They carried it 3 times. The boiling water in the big wooden bucket did not cover the pig's head, and it could only be lifted up. The pig's snout was exposed, and the heat lingered on the barrel, quickly evaporating toward the night sky. The pig killer's hand grabbed the pig's nose, and with a hiss in his mouth, he pulled the pig's nose to the right along the edge of the barrel. The pig sitting in the barrel began to squirt clockwise in the boiling water. Circle. The pig killer let go of the pig's snout and pressed it into the water. He pushed the whole pig's head into the boiling water. After 3 or 4 minutes, he reached in again and grabbed the pig's snout. When he lifted it up, there was still something in his mouth. Shushing, pull the pig's nose to the left along the edge of the barrel, and the pig starts to circle counterclockwise. After a few turns, the butcher pressed the pig's nose into the boiling water again, waved his hand, and Lao Bao quickly came over and handed him a cigarette. The butcher opened his mouth, and Lao Bao stuffed the cigarette into his mouth. Holding it in his mouth, Lao Bao took out a disposable lighter and lit the cigarette for him. The butcher clicked it, and a third of the cigarette was gone. The butcher stretched his hands behind his back, wiped his hands on his shirt, and walked towards Gu Gong while smoking. "When did you arrive, Teacher Gu?" the butcher asked the consultant, and the consultant smiled and said to him, "Just now, you were sleeping." The two of them squatted down, and Gu Gong said to him, "Not bad, my skills have become more proficient. I can be called a pig-killing master, and the apprentice you have is not bad either." The pig butcher chuckled. He glanced sideways at the apprentice not far away and said, "It's not bad, but I haven't gained enough strength yet." Zhang Xiangbei and Xiao Wu also squatted down. When Lao Bao saw it, they came over and squatted down. Other people standing in the yard also squatted down. Lao Bao glanced at them, stood up and hurried outside. Looking at them, he cursed. Go, why don't you help carry things?" The people who had just squatted down were coaxed to their feet and left the courtyard. The butcher finished smoking the cigarette in his mouth and spat it out on the ground. Gu Gong handed over another one. The butcher quickly said, "Thank you, Teacher Gu." As he took the caretaker's cigarette with both hands, he glanced at the barrel in which the dead pig was soaked. "Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes. Thank you Zipanjiang 1, FMC 196804424, Void Broken Dream, and Big Guy for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1999. While Gu Gong, Zhang Xiangbei, and the pig butcher were squatting there smoking and chatting, the apprentice was using a water pipe to rinse the paper case. When the pig struggled on the paper case, all the feces and urine came out. Sprinkle it on the table and the ground beside it. The people who were kicked out by Lao Bao came back, carrying tables and stools, and 2 people carried a basket with bowls, plates, and chopsticks in them. These were borrowed from neighbors. They moved the tables and stools in before entering the hall. 2 tables were quickly placed in front of the hall, and a table was also placed in the kitchen next to it. This kitchen is a daily kitchen with a gas stove inside. The one in the bungalow outside is a large kitchen. Only when there is a big event like today and the wood stove needs to be used, that kitchen will be freed up. When there are important events in the countryside, dozens of tables are set up at one time. Without such a big pot, it is impossible to cook food at all. Usually, there are just piles of debris there. After smoking 2 cigarettes, the butcher stood up and walked to the big wooden barrel. The apprentice also walked over and handed over a scraper. The scraper was made of a piece of iron sheet more than 10 centimeters wide, with one side like a scroll. Curled, a handle emerged, and the other side was a polished blade. When the pig killer walked over, Zhang Xiangbei also followed him curiously. Gu Gong and Xiao Wu were already tired of watching pig killers. The two of them were still squatting there, but they changed places and squatted on the steps. Under the porch, looking down here, smoking while watching. The pig butcher tested the water temperature with his hands, then picked up a pig's ear and scraped the base of the ear with a scraper. A piece of black hair as white as the scraper fell off, revealing the white pig skin underneath. "That's it?" the butcher said and handed the scraper back to his apprentice, leaving him with the remaining work of shaving the pig hair. The butcher himself walked back to the worker, squatted down and continued to smoke. Zhang Xiangbei watched from the side. The apprentice was quick with his hands and feet, using a scraper to scrape the pig's hair. With a squeak, a piece of white pig skin was exposed. He lifted the dead pig and put it down, or turned it over. From the wooden barrel, hot steam came up, mixed with the smell of urine and a faint smell of pig feces. After the apprentice worked for a while, he had big beads of sweat. It rolled down from his forehead. He was wearing a short-sleeved t-shirt under his rubber apron. The back of the t-shirt was soaked in this winter night. Zhang Xiangbei thought to himself, looking at the previous journey, it was obvious that the apprentice was busy all the time, and the master never stopped for a moment. This apprentice should be more tired than the pig butcher. Why is he killing the pig instead? He seems to need more rest. Where can I sleep? After thinking for a while, Zhang Xiangbei understood that sleeping is sometimes not just about rest, but also a qualification. Some people can sleep wherever they go, while some people can't sleep no matter how tired they are, such as this apprentice. The pig butcher didn't look as busy as the apprentice, but all his efforts were reflected in the flash of the knife and the tip of the knife inserted into the pig's neck. If the apprentice wants to learn this, he must do all other tasks first. After learning it, you have done all the hard work that you should do. The butcher feels that you have done enough for him, so he is a little embarrassed to let you continue to do it. At this time, he will let you touch the sharp knife and teach you where the aorta of a pig is, where the tip of the knife goes in, and how much force you need to use to kill the pig with one knife, causing blood to spurt out and kill the pig. When killing pigs, the moment of killing is the essence of this profession. Everything in the front is preparation, and everything in the back is finishing. That knife is the key. That knife was not a casual one. If the insertion is not done well or the position is off, the pig may not be killed. Instead, it will struggle to break free due to pain, overturning the people holding it down, and running around with a knife stuck in its neck. The scene would be too scary. Such a thing is not impossible. Zhang Xiangbei saw a similar scene when he was a child. He remembered that time he was killing a chicken. His grandmother was an expert at killing chickens. Whenever someone in the family felt uncomfortable, looked bad, or had no strength, her grandmother would kill a chicken to replenish him. She firmly believed that chickens are omnipotent. Grandma sandwiched the two chicken feet between her thighs, held the root of the chicken wings with her left hand, twisted the chicken head with her right hand, and clasped it with the thumb of her left hand, exposing the chicken neck. Grandma plucked the chicken feathers with her right hand. The place where the chicken feathers are pulled out is where the knife will be cut later. Use a kitchen knife to make a small opening. After the chicken struggles twice, the blood dries and the chicken dies. While Grandma was plucking the chicken feathers, a gust of wind blew the chicken feathers onto the face of Grandpa, who was sitting on the side reading the newspaper. Grandpa was dissatisfied when he touched the chicken feathers. He glanced at Grandma and complained. "What's the use? You can't even kill a chicken." After hearing this, Grandma got angry, stood up, threw the chicken in front of Grandpa and said, "It's up to you to kill him." Grandpa retorted, I'll kill it, it's just a chicken, what's the big deal?" He stood up and went to catch the chicken first, and finally caught the chicken. One hand held the root of the chicken's wings, and the other hand grabbed the two struggling chicken feet, but he no longer had any hands to kill the chicken. He turned the chicken around a few times, saw a roll of tape, and came up with a plan. He put the chicken on the table, held it down with his elbows, and freed his hands to wrap the chicken legs with tape. Then he took the chicken and returned to the place where Grandma had been sitting. Looking at Grandma, who was watching coldly, he proudly picked up the kitchen knife and pulled it back and forth on the chicken's neck. The chicken blood spurted out. He thought it was almost done, so he took the chicken. Putting it down, I didn't expect that as soon as the chicken was put on the ground, I kicked my legs hard. The chicken's feet were wrapped in electrical glue in front of my grandfather. The electrical glue was not very sticky, so the chicken fell apart as soon as it was loosened. Next, a terrifying scene appeared. The chicken actually stood up. Grandpa used a knife to pull the chicken's neck back and forth. The neck was almost broken. The chicken's head could not stand up and was tilted to one side. But the chicken, just like this, with his head tilted and dripping blood, he ran around the yard. Zhang Xiangbei and Xiangnan screamed and ran around in the yard for fear of being chased by this terrifying chicken. In the end, Grandpa chased the chicken and chopped off the whole chicken head with a carpenter's axe. The chicken twitched a few times and then died. Zhang Xiangbei and Xiangnan's faces turned pale with fright. Grandma was lying next to her. It hurts to laugh. From then on, when Grandma killed the chicken again, Grandpa didn't even dare to sit near Grandma. As soon as Grandma sat down with the chicken, he immediately stood up and walked away, muttering in his mouth, making up a story for himself about what he was going to do. Reason. The apprentice went up and down, as if giving a pig a bath, and shaved off all the pig's hair. He tied a nylon rope to one of the pig's hind hoofs and tied it tightly, leaving a rope buckle. The apprentice stood upright. He stood up and shouted to the pig butcher, "Master, it's ready." The pig killer came over, picked up the iron hook that hooked the pig's chin in front, passed the iron hook through the rope buckle, blocked the rope buckle with his handle, and hung the hook on his elbow. The pig was lifted out of the barrel. The apprentice put his hand into the water and grabbed the pig's ear. With a strong force, the whole dead pig was dehydrated. The two men carried the pig to the wooden ladder standing against the wall. Only then did Zhang Xiangbei realize that the ladder was also used for killing pigs. Lao Bao came over to help. He and his apprentice lifted the pig up. The pig butcher raised the hook above his head and hooked it on the rung of the ladder. In this way, the pig was hung upside down on the ladder with its belly facing out. The apprentice pulled the plastic water pipe, rinsed the pig, and then took the wooden basin in front of the pig's blood. The pig's blood in the wooden basin had cooled and solidified. It was taken away. He put the empty wooden basin upside down. Underneath the pig's head. The butcher picked up a butcher's knife. This knife was bigger than a butcher's knife, smaller than a bone-chopping knife, and had a pointed head. He picked up the pick and pulled it from top to bottom. A stream of hot steam steamed out, and the pig it had been disemboweled, and the originally cylindrical pig now had 4 trotters spread out, looking weird. The butcher inserted the knife into the pig's abdominal cavity and continued to pull, while pushing his body forward. After a while, all the pig's internal organs slid down against his rubber apron and fell into the wooden basin below. When the basin was full, the apprentice immediately took away the wooden basin and separated the intestines, liver, heart, loins, etc. Gugong also ran over and went to his apprentice to help clean up together. The pig hung empty and upside down with its arms and legs crossed. Lao Bao picked up the plastic water pipe. After waiting for a while, when water began to come out of the water pipe, the butcher picked up the water pipe and flushed the water into the pig's abdomen. There, blood and water were flowing freely on the ground. He turned around and shouted, "Close it." Someone turned off the water faucet, and the pig killer threw the water pipe aside. He picked up the pig knife, squatted there, inserted the tip of the knife into the pig's neck, walked around sideways, and the whole pig's head came down. He grabbed holding a pig's ear, he gave the pig's head to Lao Bao, and Lao Bao walked away with the pig's head. The butcher changed his bone-cutting knife, grabbed the pig's foot in the air with his left hand, and slashed with the knife with his right hand, starting from the tail and cutting downwards. When he cut halfway, half of the pig was caught on the butcher's head. On the shoulders, all the way to the end, the pig became two pieces, one on the left and right, one still hanging on the latter, and the other on the pig butcher's shoulders. He walked over to the desk, threw the half piece of pig on his shoulder onto the desk, and the pig butcher's work was finished, and he sat aside to drink strong tea. What's left is that the apprentice will follow Lao Bao's request to take out the necessary parts of the two pieces of pork first, and use a machete to cut the rest into strips of meat. The two hind legs of the pig must be taken out for curing ham. The apprentice helps to take out the meat from the hind legs to the buttocks. The part of the front legs, the part below the thigh is the pig's feet, and the root of the thigh is the hoof. It is a local custom that when a new son-in-law comes to visit his father-in-law, he will give his father-in-law a pair of hooves. The hooves are also a good thing. There are also people who pickle the front legs of pigs, but the pickled front legs of pigs cannot be called ham, but called ham or square legs. Some people also pickle the tail part of the pig like ham, which is called ham. Small ham. Thank you for your monthly votes from Budeo Weng, Kun Buletintong and Lao Shenzasang. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2000. The pig butcher here is still processing pigs, and the two kitchens over there are already busy. The pig butcher wine is of course mainly based on pork and pig offal, but it is not only pork and pig offal, but also fish, which comes from mountain streams. Small fish, each as thick as a stick, are called stick fish. There are also chickens, native chickens raised at home. The pig blood came down and condensed into tofu shape. It was taken away immediately, cut into pieces, and put into a large steel pot. The steel pot sat on a gas stove, and the pig blood and tofu were rolled together. Grabbed a large handful of garlic and a few pieces of crushed ginger and put them in. The red, white, and yellow ones look good when they are rolled on the stove, and they taste even better when eaten. This dish becomes more delicious as it boils. Stew it for an hour until the tofu and pig blood are hollow. When it is about to come out of the pot, throw in a lot of green garlic sprouts, red, white, yellow, and green. Better looking and more fragrant. After the pig butcher finished killing the pig, he was smoking with Zhang Xiangbei and the others. As soon as he finished smoking a cigarette, Lao Bao asked everyone to come to the table. Everyone entered the room one after another, leaving the apprentice alone outside to continue cutting the meat. Men sit at the two tables in front of the hall, and women sit at the kitchen table inside. The men need to drink, and the women need to cook and work while eating, staring at everything in the kitchen. The butcher sat at a table with Zhang Xiangbei, Xiao Wu, Lao Bao, and others. Their table was the main table. People who ate in rural areas were very conscious. They knew that they had no place to sit at the main table, so they went to sit at the side table. Wait until everyone who should sit at the main table has sat down, and there is still room at the main table. Whoever the host calls will sit down. Not seeing Gu Gong, the pig butcher asked. Where's teacher Gu? He went to make pig offal porridge. He asked us to eat first. Come on, just leave a seat for him, Lao Bao said. Only then did Zhang Xiangbei understand why Gu Gong ran to help deal with the pigs as soon as they were put into the water. It turned out that they were making pig offal porridge. Ha ha, This is really eaten while killing, and it is even fresher than the one in Shan. As soon as Lao Bao said this, everyone present became happy. Some people said, it seems that teacher Gu has a new trick. Everyone took their seats one after another, leaving a seat for Gu Gong between Lao Bao and Zhang Xiangbei. The wine was hot red yeast wine. Each person filled a glass first and drank it. Except for Xiao Wu, he said he was going to drive later, so Lao Bao stopped trying. He knew it would be difficult to go out on this road, so he let him go. Drink Coke. The dishes came immediately. The first ones were chicken pot, braised stick fish, stir-fried vegetables, and a large casserole of pig blood tofu. There was a charcoal stove under the casserole, and it was steaming. Everyone started to use their chopsticks quickly. Although there were chicken and fish, the one everyone reaches for first is the pig blood tofu. What came next was a plate of fried pork liver and a plate of white strips of pork. There was nothing on the pork belly, it was steamed in a steamer until thoroughly cooked and then sliced. Lao Bao and Zhang Xiangbei said that this dish was taught to us by teacher Gu. Now every family here will serve this dish in our pig-killing wine. What comes with the white strips of meat is a bowl of dipping sauce. Lao Bao said that this bowl of dipping sauce is what teacher Gu taught us to prepare. Please try it quickly. Lao Bao said and started to demonstrate. He took a piece of meat and dipped 1/3 of it in the dipping sauce. Lao Bao and Zhang Xiangbei said, don't dip too much. If you dip too much, the dipping sauce will completely cover the aroma of the meat. Then Lao Bao put the meat into the small bowl in front of him, folded the meat in half with chopsticks, and put it in his mouth. Try it, Boss Zhang and Boss Wu, give it a try, Lao Bao said. Zhang Xiangbei and Xiao Wu both imitated the old bag, sandwiched the meat, dipped it in the dipping sauce, folded it in half, and put it in their mouths. They suddenly felt that their tastes were separated. They tasted the aroma of the meat and the dipping sauce. The aroma of the meat, the dipping sauce enhances the aroma of the meat, and the aroma of the meat makes the dipping sauce even more special. Chewing and swallowing the meat, I felt that there was still a lingering fragrance in my mouth, and it was very moist and smooth. It was indescribably comfortable. When I just picked up the meat, Zhang Xiangbei still had thoughts of the pig he had just killed. The scene, the howling of the dying pig, still made his head hurt. When he picked up the meat, he had almost no appetite, but as soon as the meat was in his mouth, his appetite was greatly increased. When Zhang Xiangbei and Xiao Wu were picking up the meat, everyone at the table stopped with their chopsticks and looked at them, as if they were a group of students handing the exam papers to the teacher, watching the teacher mark the papers with some trepidation. It's delicious, this pork is so delicious, Zhang Xiangbei looked at Lao Bao and said. Everyone seemed to relax and then started laughing. Come on, Boss Zhang, have a drink, Boss Wu, eat meat, Lao Bao greeted them. Tables and bowls of pig offal porridge were served, and Gu Gong followed him and sat down at the seat reserved for him. Everyone must try the porridge newly cooked by Gu Gong. Lao Bao gave it to Zhang Xiangbei and Gu Gong. Xiao Wu and the pig butcher filled a bowl and invited everyone to come. The others also quickly filled a bowl, tasted it, and cheered in unison. The consultant asked Zhang Xiangbei how he was doing. Zhang Xiangbei was stunned there, and after a while he said, it's so delicious. Even better than the one in Shan. Of course, Gu Gong said confidently, not only is the pork offal fresher, but the pork offal is also better. In Shan, where can you find Jinhu, a two-headed crow? Zhang Xiangbei shook his head and said, if Fatty Sun and Zhou knew that we came to eat such delicious pig offal porridge without bringing them, they would kill me. Gu Gong smiled and asked, if President Zhou comes, do you think she can still eat pork after seeing the scene just now? Zhang Xiangbei and Xiao Wu both laughed, and Zhang Xiangbei said, this is a dilemma. It doesn't matter. When our cold chain truck goes back tomorrow, I will make it for Mr. Zhou, Mr. Sun, and Mr. Wu to try. The taste will not be bad, Gu Gong said. Teacher Gu, you must teach me how to make this porridge. The pig butcher said to Gu Gong, tomorrow I will go to someone else's house to kill pigs. If people know that Teacher Gu is here today, they will definitely ask me if Teacher Gu has any teach me how to make delicious food and tell some stories. Gu Gong said cheerfully, okay, I will write the porridge recipe for you later. Teacher Gu, we are killing pigs today. Do you have any stories about pig killings? Someone asked during the dinner. The story about pig killing, Gu Gong pondered for a while and said, the most famous story about pig killing is Zheng Ziyi's pig killing. Zheng Ziyi was a student of Confucius. It was said that one day, Zheng Ziyi's wife was going to the market. Her son cried and wanted to follow him, but Zheng's wife coaxed him and said, you wait at home, and when I come back, I will kill a pig for you to eat. When Zheng Ziyi's wife came back from the market, she saw Zheng Ziyi grabbing a pig and wanting to kill it. Zheng Ziyi's wife quickly said, I was just talking to the kid, why did you kill it? Zheng Ziyi and his wife said that a child cannot be deceived. If you lie to him, you are teaching him to lie. If a mother deceives her son, the son will not believe his mother. This is not a good way to educate children. Zheng's wife has nothing to say. So Zheng killed the pig and cooked a pot of meat for his son to eat. When Gu Gong started telling a story, even the people at the next table stopped eating and drinking, and turned their heads to listen. After Gu Gong finished speaking, someone at the next table shouted, this Zheng must be a fool. He would kill a pig for just one sentence. If his wife told his son to go and die, would he really bury his son? Gu Gong laughed and said, you said burying your son. Someone has done it before. Guoju did it? Guoju was from the Jin dynasty. He said that his family was very poor. He had an old mother and the old mother loved her 3-year-old son very much and gave him food every day, while she was hungry every day. Guoju is very filial. When he saw this situation, he discussed it with his wife. He said that it was not an option for his son to fight with the old lady for food every day. If our son is gone, we can still have children, but there is only one mother. Either we bury your son so that the old lady can have enough to eat every day. His wife had no choice but to leave it to him. Guoju found a place and wanted to dig a hole to bury his son. When he dug 2 feet deep, he found a jar of gold. Of course, his son did not need to be buried. From then on, their family not only lived a good life, Guoju's reputation for being filial to his mother also spread. No, Teacher Gu, are you making this up? Said the pig butcher, since there is not enough food, this Guoju should bury his wife and himself. A 3-year-old child can eat it how much food? It's not as much as adults. Gu Gong smiled slightly and said, the story of Guoju burying his son can be found in Su Shenji by Qian Bao of the Eastern Jin dynasty, Taiping Guangji in the Song dynasty, 24 Filial Piety by Guo Zhijing in the Yuan dynasty, and Zhang Mansion in the Jiajing period of the Ming dynasty. It is recorded in books such as Chronicles of Zhang Prefecture, and Chronicles of Zhang Prefecture is like the current Pujian County Chronicles. Guoju is from that place. Do you think it is true or false? The butcher was stunned. Is it recorded in the county annals? It seems to be true, Lao Bao said. Gu Gong continued, the story about Zheng's killing pigs mentioned earlier was written in Hanfizi Wei Chu Suo upper left Chuolu, and it is also in the book. Do you believe it or not? Everyone looked at each other in shock. According to everyone's simple thoughts, it was impossible not to believe what the book said. But these are indeed made up. Even if they are written in the book, they are also nonsense. Gu Gong said, there are many such fabricated stories in Chinese history, such as Kong Rong giving pears, Sima Guang smashing a vat, Caog's 7-step poem, etc., they are all fabricated. I have researched them before, and these things are all fabricated. None of them are credible. One thing they have in common is that their stories are all educational, but another common feature is that they cannot withstand scrutiny and there is no corroboration from contemporaries. As mentioned before, Zhengzi slaughtered pigs. Whose book first appeared in it? Hanfizi. How many years did Hanfizi live away from Zhengzi? More than 200 years. In the past 200 years, at that time, the spring and autumn period and the Warring States period, there were a lot of written materials left. It stands to reason that if there was such a thing, Zhengzi's contemporaries would record it, but there was none, not one, until Hanfizi was the first to write it more than 200 years later. Do you think it is credible? Also, according to common sense in life, if Zhengzi's wife goes to the market, her son must go with her. Even if his wife wants to coax the children, she will not tell her son that she will come back to kill pigs for you. She must mean that from now on bring him delicious food from the market, right? Even killing a chicken is better than killing a pig. How big a pig can be killed by Zhengzi himself? No need to hire a pig butcher? Like the pig butchers, 2 people can kill a pig. It's not easy. Zhengzi can kill pigs by himself? Is he Wusong? If his son wasn't stupid, he wouldn't believe it. Are you right? Everyone laughed and nodded frequently, feeling that what Gu Gong said made sense. Zhang Xiangbei finally understood why Gu Gong was here and everyone called him Teacher Gu. Gu Gong said, "These are all lies, and the liars are very serious about what they say. By naming a person, they make other people believe that what they say is true, but they cannot stand the test, just like what is being uploaded on the internet now. Most of the things Lu Xun said were not said by Lu Xun. Many people believe it if they pretend to be Lu Xun. By the way, Pig Killer Gu Gong turned to Pig Killer and said to him, not to mention other things, just the ghost stories from several villages around here. Many of them are about ghost stories when you go to kill pigs at night. Yes, you have a nose and eyes, butcher, have you ever seen a ghost?" Everyone laughed, and the butcher scratched his chest hair with his hands and laughed. "I just saw a big-headed ghost," said the pig killer. "Thank you, Tin Soldier, for the reward, for reading the book every day, at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night, 2 fishes one above the other, and the third from top to bottom. Thank you for your monthly votes from Windenwing, Tianwei Y, Captain Jim, On the Road to a Nation, Fei Longzation, Book Friends 2021071134695, and Book Friends 201805121221100518. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 2001. Teacher Gu, how come this kind of messy, deceitful thing is still written in the book? Lao Bao asked, not understanding. It's not just written in books. There are a lot of deceptive things in history. There are many liars who have been written in books and touted as positive figures, Gu Gong said. Is there such a thing? Lao Bao continued to ask. Of course, let's not talk about the far ones, let's talk about the nearby ones. Have you all been to the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom Palace in Jinhua? This Taiping Heavenly Kingdom is a lie. Hong Xiaoquan is a big liar. For a while, we said what he was, the leader of the peasant uprising, and when talking about the peasant uprising, it seems to have natural legitimacy and is worthy of praise, Gu Gong said. Taiping Heavenly Kingdom. Isn't it just long hair? Long hair is not a good thing in the mouths of ordinary people, the pig killer said. There are many stories of escaping long hair here. Yes, what the common people say is more reliable. That long hair is really not a good thing. Hong Xiaoquan was in his 30s. He failed the scholar exam 4 times. Once he had a high fever and said he saw God in a coma. Wearing a Taoist robe and holding a sword, he told him that he was the second son of God. He gave the sword to him, saying that he would stay in the mortal world to strengthen justice and eliminate evil. Isn't this nonsense? God only has one son, Jesus. What does your second son mean? Isn't it just a second son? God also has a son of a yellow race like you. According to the Chinese, this is nothing, even his own parents. Is it treasonous to recognize a Western god as my father, even if I don't recognize my ancestors? How can I be considered a hero? I guess this guy just read a few Christian books translated at that time and started talking nonsense. He thought he could use this method to deceive people. His use of Chinese gods didn't work. He wanted to say that he was the son of the Jade Emperor. Everyone thought he was crazy. Everyone knew that the Jade Emperor had no sons. Even in Journey to the West, there were only 7 daughters, 7 fairies. He said God, and other people don't know what God is like. If they don't know, it's easy to lie. After he recovered from his illness, he organized some kind of God worship society, called himself the younger brother of Jesus, and started preaching. Of course, no one in Guangdong believed in him, and he was easily slapped in the face. There were already many missionaries in Guangdong at that time. The missionaries were familiar with God, and they were all surprised. Who was this brother of Jesus? They had never heard of him. He ran next door to preach in Guangxi, which was even more backward at that time. In Guangxi, he met a bastard who was even more ruthless than him, Yang Ziyuqing. Yang Ziyuqing followed Hong Xiuquan. Later, the war failed, and Hong Xiuquan fled back to Guangdong. Well, Yang Ziyuqing thought of an idea. You are the humming brother of Jesus, the second son of God. Yang Ziyuqing simply said that he was possessed by God. He often possessed people, and used them when necessary to convey God's will. Later, when the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom made Nanjing its capital, Hong Xiuquan named Yang Ziyuqing the Eastern King. He was 9,000 years old and continued to work. When Yang Ziyuqing was dissatisfied, he let God possess him again. Come to him and let God and Hong Xiuquan say that Yang Ziyuqing should be considered long-live. Heavenly Father said so. What should you do with Hong Xiuquan, your second son? Of course Hong Xiuquan knows that he is a liar and has met a liar, but he cannot be exposed yet. If Yang Ziyuqing's possession by God is false, he, the younger brother of Jesus, may also be exposed, but if he is to treat it as long-live, this matter is it's not fun anymore, so don't do it. The two people were fooling around like this, and eventually, their own people began to kill their own people, which led to the Tianjing incident. The northern king Wei Chengui killed the eastern king on the secret order of the heavenly king Hong Xiuquan, and the Wing king Shida launched a crusade against the northern king. The northern king rebelled against the heavenly king. The king of heaven killed King Bei and King Yan again, killing them indiscriminately. After the Tianjing incident, the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom was basically finished. Hong Xiuquan, an old liar, could no longer survive. Such a liar. Who of you who studied in childhood didn't think he was a hero? If you think about it, it's true. Someone shouted, "He is such a liar, who says he is a hero?" Gu Gong laughed and stopped talking about the topic. He picked up the wine glass and suggested that everyone drink. After everyone did, Gu Gong asked Zhang Xiangbei, "How about the meat from this two-headed crow?" "It's delicious," Zhang Xiangbei said, then looked at the pig butcher and said with a smile, "It's just that the scene of killing the pig is a bit miserable. When I was eating, the sound of the pig was still ringing in my mind, which affected my appetite a bit. Otherwise, you can eat a plate like this." Everyone laughed, and the pig butcher said, "Follow me for 3 days, and you won't feel miserable anymore. What else will you do? A green vegetable is growing well, but if it is cut with a sickle, its life will be gone. Isn't the green vegetable miserable? If people are afraid that this will be miserable and that will be miserable, people will not eat anything and starve to death." "That man is in trouble," Gu Gong said, and everyone laughed again. "By the way, the pig's cry reminds me of a story." "Do you want to listen?" asked the consultant. Everyone said yes, so Gu Gong started to talk. After Ming Taizhi Zhu Yuanzhang became emperor in Nanjing, the emperor at that time was very boring. He couldn't access the internet, and there were no TV or movies to watch. Although there were many women in the palace, he was tired of watching them every day. This guy was a fool. As a wild monk and a warrior, he would often change into plain clothes and wander outside wherever he could stay in the palace. Anyway, there was no Xin Wenlianbo at that time. Even the emperor, not many people had seen him. He was wearing casual clothes and no one could recognize him. The day he slipped out was the Chinese New Year, and there were signs on every door in Nanjing. Sticking to the Spring Festival couplets, he walked to the door of a house and saw a couplet posted on the door. The first couplet was earth-shattering cause and the second couplet was the family that has broken the yin and yang. Zhu Yuanzhang was very angry when he saw it. Why, the tone was too loud. What is an earth-shattering undertaking? A change of dynasty is an earth-shaking undertaking. Isn't this a rebellion? After yin and yang, that is the power that only the Lord of Hell and Zhu Yuanzhang have. Holding the power of life and death over others. Zhu Yuanzhang walked in and found that this was a pig-killing workshop. A butcher was killing pigs, and there were several pigs that were ready to be killed. Zhu Yuanzhang was watching the butcher killing pigs. Zhu Yuanzhang watched. He laughed. The pig's cry was earth-shattering. People say that he has an earth-shaking career, that's right. After the pig butcher finished killing the pig, Zhu Yuanzhang asked the butcher, the couplet on your door, earth-shattering cause is correct. This pig killing is indeed earth-shattering, but I don't know, your couplet is yin and yang family how to say? The pig butcher pointed at the pigs nearby and said, you haven't seen me here. As long as others send them over, I will kill all the boars and sows. Isn't it yin and yang? Zhu Yuanzhang heard that it made sense. Laughing loudly. As he spoke, Gu Gong turned around and said to the pig butcher, you are cutting corners when killing pigs now. In the past, when people killed pigs, there was a process of beating the pigs, clubbing the pigs and blowing air. I've never heard of it, said the pig butcher. Yes, that's why I told you. Gu Gong said, dipped his finger into his cup, dipped some wine, and wrote the word on the table for the butcher to see. Gu Gong said, in the past, among the pig butcher's tools, there was a 1-meter-long rod made of iron or hardwood. To be more precise, it was made of mahogany or red sandalwood. It was as thick as a little finger and was called a style. After the pig is killed, use a pick knife to cut a hole at the base of the hind legs, insert the slats from here, and slug all the way to the pig's ears. Pull out half of it, and then slug the back and abdomen. After trussing the upper body, trussing the lower body, once this side is trussed, turn the pig over, then go in from the base of the hind legs on that side, and truss that half of the pig as well. What is this for? Asked the pig killer. In order to poke grooves in the pork, we can blow air into it and tighten the skin for easier shaving, Gu Gong said. It's so troublesome. Just like us, don't we have a clean shave, said the pig butcher disdainfully. Gu Gong rolled his eyes at him and cursed. It's not fastidious. In the past, rich people and officials lived a more classy life than now. Why were jinhua ham and dongpo meat invented by people in the past? Now people just know how to eat them without using their brains. Be careful, if rich people in the past killed pigs like you, no one would eat them. That's an exaggeration, Teacher Gu, said the pig butcher. Of course it's not an exaggeration, Gu Gong said and apologized to everyone. I'm sorry, but it may affect everyone's appetite. I stood up and said together after the pig is ready, use a blowtorch or something like a blowtorch to blow it towards the pig. Blow air into the pig through the opening, and beat the pig with a wooden stick while blowing. This can make the pork taste better. The flat pork in Fujian is made by beating it with a wooden stick. The whole dead pig is blown until it is as fat and round as a balloon. Then the whole is tied tightly with a rope, and then the pig is released. Get into boiling water and shave. Now let me tell you why we do this. The pig lies down, rolls around in the pen every day, mixes and soaks with its own feces and urine. How dirty is it? The pores are full of sweat and dirt accumulated there for a long time. Pig butcher, shaving like you are doing now only removes the hair on the surface of the pig. The sweat stains and dirt cannot be removed. When the pig is beaten and blown into a round shape, the pores are completely opened, and the dirt inside swells to the surface. When shaving, all these are removed. When Gugong said this, even the pig butcher was convinced. He scratched his chest hair and chuckled, saying a little embarrassedly, "Why didn't my master teach me? China has been killing pigs like this for thousands of years. It's just that in the past few decades, you pig killers have become lazy and have saved all these items. The pigs are beaten, the pigs are sticked, and the air is blown. In fact, with today's from a visual point of view, it is also very scientific. Use slugs to poke grooves in the pork, beat it with a stick, and blow air, which is conducive to the rapid acidification of the pork. Although our ancients didn't know what acid removal was, they were very particular about it. They knew that pigs had to be killed with such care so that the meat would be delicious. Think about it, if a culture is careless and careless, what will happen? Can it last for thousands of years? That makes sense, that makes sense. Teacher Gu, what you said makes sense. I'll give it a try next time. Will you teach me? Said the pig butcher. Gugong said yes. Lao Bao greeted everyone and said, "Come on, eat quickly." Zhang Xiangbei picked up a piece of white meat with chopsticks, looked at it, and put it down again. Gugong saw it from the side, laughed and asked, "Do you feel the sweat and dirt, making you feel a little nauseous and unable to eat?" Zhang Xiangbei said with a sad face, "I ate it very happily and it was delicious. But when you told me, I really didn't dare to take off my chopsticks." Gugong laughed loudly and said, "You can eat this meat without worry, otherwise I won't be able to eat it." "Lao Bao, did you do as I asked?" the consultant asked. "Of course, it's almost not delicious at all," Lao Bao said. "The key to delicious food is to pay attention to it," Gugong and Zhang Xiangbei said. "You look like it's just white strips of meat, with nothing added, but I added a key process." "What process?" Zhang Xiangbei asked. "Cut the pork into 3-inch long chunks. Heat the pot without adding any oil. Hold the meat with your hands and slide the pig skin against the pot until the skin is a little burnt. Then put it in clean water and wash it with water. The skin of the pig is scraped with a knife to remove all sweat stains and dirt, and then it is steamed in a steamer. Then there is no smell at all and it is very fragrant." As Gugong said, Zhang Xiangbei nodded and understood. "Teacher Gu, Zhu Yuanzhang, how is that Zhu Yuanzhang?" someone shouted. Gugong said, "Zhu Yuanzhang told the pig butcher, I saw that you were killing pigs by blowing air and beating them with sticks. I will give you a horizontal rule called behead first and then report." When the pig butcher heard this, he said, "Then I realized that the person in front of me was the current long live, and I quickly knelt down. Thank you Lao Chantang for your monthly ticket. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone."